everybody, and welcome to the midweek edition of the Four-Star Chicago Sports Podcast. We are the Barely There podcast, and Kyle is working Black Wednesday, so we got a look-alike to fill in his place. How you doing, Brando?
I won't take that as an insult. I'm doing all right, man. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. Man. Before we get started, we're gonna break down this Bears Lions. It's kind of be an abbreviated show, guys. We'll get some fantasy stuff and some betting picks on the Facebook page here on Saturday. Didn't have a lot of time to get a lot of that stuff done today. But we do want to announce that starting next week on Wednesdays, we're going to be moving the show to 7 o'clock. We feel like we're interfering with dinner, and we'd like everyone to fill their stomachs and then sit down and enjoy a show with us. So starting next week on Wednesdays, we're going to put this puppy over to 7 o'clock. So Barely There, we'll move to 7 p.m., and we'll go from there. Also coming up, we don't want to forget, if you are out and about after our podcast today, feel free to stop over and see Kyle at 102 North River Street at River Street Tavern. He's out there slanging drinks and hanging out with people today. And one more bit of business before we get rolling. December 16th, Four-Star Chicago Sports first get-together party, however you want to call it. What's that?
Live event.
Live event. Thank you. My brain is not functioning properly today, guys. So if I say dumb things, I'll make up for it on Monday. The limited menu, they're just taking away bowls and any kind of food in bowls and stuff, but we'll have handheld foods. All the appetizers will be there. We got this wonderful Dan Hampton picture, this framed Kevin Butler. We got this amazing DJ Moore touchdown catch, and dun-da-da-da, we're going to add number 55, Lance Briggs, to the party. He's going to be coming in. We're also going to have some other prizes that are going to be dropped off. We're going to be raising money in the holiday season.
Not Lance Briggs in person.
Not in person.
Yeah. No. That's how that came off. I was excited.
What's going on? Breaking news, Bruce. We're just going to try and help some of the less unfortunate, raise some money for Chicago Bears Care, Bears Charities. 50-50 raffle is going to be included, guys. So you're going to have a chance to win some of that wonderful money back, stuff little pocket, maybe pay your bill at the end of the night. Come out, hang out with us December 16th over at River Street. We'd love to meet you and put some faces to the people that we talk to in the chat. So let's get it going. We got a holiday week, and the Bears are going to be on special. Brandon, we got the opener of the festivities this weekend will be the Bears and the Lions, and I'm just going to get some quick stats out of the way. Detroit is a double-digit favorite in this matchup. They're 37-45-2 all-time on Thanksgiving. They have not won a Thanksgiving game since 2016. They've lost 7 straight, 3 of those coming to the Bears. As I said, we are coming in as a 10-point dog. This is our 20th meeting on Thanksgiving. The Bears hold an all-time advantage of 11-8. And as I stated, we've won all the last 3 of our holiday matchups with Detroit. Have a feeling, Brandon, this is going to be a little bit of a tougher one to pull the rabbit out of the hat. As we get going, man, what are your first impressions of the Bears in Detroit, man? What I put the title of the show really quick as, can the Bears defense slow down Detroit, and can Caleb and the boys keep pace with Detroit? What are your feelings on both of those things? Talk to me, Goose.
Oh, I don't know, Sean. It's really hard to. This team clearly still doesn't have much of an identity that you can kind of lean on. So I'm not sure, man. I early in this season, I was thinking the Bears are always going to remain in games because of their defense.
Yeah.
And lately, their defense hasn't played very good, but they're back to being in games. So now I'm thinking, like, as long as Caleb does some hero stuff, the Bears are going to remain in football games. So I think Caleb's going to play well against this Detroit defense for sure. But I don't think the Bears defense is going to do enough to stop this Detroit offense, man. is built in such a way that is terrible for the way this Bears defense plays football. First off, this will probably be Laporta's best game of the season. After I watched what Hawkinson and Evan Ingram and good tight ends, quality tight ends do to this football team, put a Laporta in your fantasy lineups for sure. Second, you've got two really, really quality backs, and this Bears team is struggling to stop one running back. This team does a good job of keeping fresh legs on the field when it comes to that position. Bears are going to be on their heels this game, most likely, anyways, because Goff is going to do what Goff does. I do think the Bears are going to pick Goff off. They always do. I think they're going to take the ball away. Yeah, I think, Sean, it's going to be a long game for Bears fans.
I do, and I think I might be popping a martini at 11:30 to help me get through this one. Really quick, I do have some numbers here, and we use the term iron sharpens iron, and it's an interesting matchup because when it oops, hold on, let me get back to that. The red zone defense for the Bears is number 3 in the NFL at 41.03%, only 2% away from the Denver Broncos, who are leading the NFL at 39%. You get into that and you turn around and look at red zone scoring offense. Detroit is number 4 at 68.9%. But here's another surprise I didn't see. Number 5 is the Chicago Bears at 65.38. So coming into this matchup, we know a lot of things about Detroit. Number 1, Jared Goff is amazing. He's having an amazing season. He's 8th in the NFL in passing. He's 5th in passing touchdowns. He has 9 interceptions this year. He's completing 72.9% of his passes. He's averaging 251 passing yards a game. We got another 2 problems because David Montgomery loves angry runs against the Chicago Bears. He's got 632 yards on the ground, and his counterpart, Mr. Gibbs, is sitting there at 866, which is 4th in the NFL. So the Bears, who have had a lot of problems getting up for stopping the run, going to have a major, major test on their hands. And Bears fans, don't get mad at me for saying this. I don't know that they're up for it. How do you feel about this Bears defense? I mean, going up against this run game of Detroit, because honestly, I don't think Jared Goff's going to have to pass much. Aaron Jones destroyed the Bears last week, and it's just been a theme for the season. So what are your feelings of these 2 juggernauts and the Bears defense being able to stop them?
Yeah, since the loss of Andrew Billings, man, the Bears aren't stopping much of anything when it comes to running the ball. Like I said, you're in trouble here. No matter what defense you are, man, you can be a great defense against the run. You've got two players that can play in between the tackles and beat you on the edge. I mean, this is just a nightmare of a running back tandem, especially at this point of the year for the Bears when they're not at their healthiest without Billings and Brisker, who are 2 mostly efficient run defenders, especially Jaquan Brisker. So, yeah, I'm going to be honest with you, Sean. These guys are going to the 2 of them for sure are going to combine for over 100 yards.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to get into any bets, but I would tell you this: I would probably, and I could probably look this up while on air really quick. I would probably be taking the over on Monty and Gibbs, and I hate to say it, I'd probably rolling with them for both an anytime touchdown in this game as well. I have, and when we get to that point, I have this final score rather high. Seeing what Caleb Williams is continuing to grow, and we know Detroit's defense is not the greatest, but I will say this, and they have improved over the last few weeks, especially since they lost Aiden Hutchinson. Excuse me. I did not think that this defense would be as good, but Detroit has won by 10 or more points in 6 of their last 8 games. Their defense has stepped up and held Indianapolis to 6 points, which is their 2nd straight game of holding a team to that number. And they have now held 4 of their last 5 opponents to 14 points or fewer. This does lead me to two major injuries, though. One being Carlton Davis, who's been a big help for that Lions secondary will not play in this game. And coming off the edge, Taylor Decker is ruled out as well for the Detroit Lions. So with the Lions defense stepping up, I I can say this. I have a feeling they're going to get torched a little bit by Mr. Caleb Williams. Now, knowing that this Lions defense has stepped up, what are your feelings? What do you think Caleb Williams is going to be able to do against this front?
Well, one thing I didn't even say, man, real quick, when we were talking about can the Bears stop this juggernaut offense? There's no way the Bears get pass rush on this offensive line, man. So that's another. I think, yeah, I think Goff's gonna have a whole lot of time to throw the ball, and that's just never good. But yeah, I think Caleb's gonna have, like I said, I think Caleb's gonna have a good game. Um, I think these games are always kind of, I always kind of work in a guy like Caleb's favor. These, the London game, the homecoming game, he a little bit of nerves, but he turned it on at the end. I think he likes this stage. It's Thanksgiving. Everybody's off work. He knows everybody's watching this game. I think he's comfortable in these situations more so than not, to be honest. It's a Thursday. I think he's going to play well. I think, like you said, they'll continue to just. I think Thomas Brown will grow as a play caller with Caleb Williams as Caleb Williams develops in this offense. So yeah, I think any defense that's going to play this Bears team that thinks we've got them figured out, you know what I mean? I think the Bears are going to keep kind of evolving and be this ever changing thing that it's really hard to keep up with. So I think this is not the defense that's going to stop the Bears from growing another week. I think Caleb is going to have a quality performance, and I think DeAndre Swift's going to have a huge game.
Really, that's interesting against this Detroit front that's really good against the run. And I actually forgot to look up their stats against the run. I know they're a proficient run defense. Um, I will say this: Caleb Williams is looking for a little history this week in Las Vegas, or excuse me, in Detroit. He's 19 attempts away without a pick to claim the record of most completed passes in a row without an interception. Currently sits at 193. Mr. The Dachshund of the Desert, Kyler Murray, has the record at 211. So that is something we can look forward to as a bright spot for the Chicago
I thought
Bears.
I thought C.J. Stroud set that record.
When I was looking it up, I didn't see. I saw Kyler Murray. I did not see C.J. Stroud. So let's do a little research on that and double check. But before I do that, I want to talk to you, Brandon. And I missed Monday's show, and I caught bits and pieces. Did you guys happen to talk about the Bears' defensive tackles or offensive tackles, excuse me, and re-signing these two guys? Are resigning Braxton Jones and the development of Darnell Wright.
I don't remember talking about re-signing or a contract negotiation with Jones. I remember, and I don't remember talking about Wright either. I mean, the development of Wright.
Yeah. Well, I
If there's something you have in your head, just quote me, man, because I don't really remember
no,
what
no,
I said.
no, I don't. I didn't.
Oh.
I was in and out of the show on Monday. I was trying to watch. I had my daughter's PTA, so I was trying to bounce in and bounce out when I could. I was just wondering if you guys touched on it at all because Kirsten Tanis, a very fantastic writer for the Chicago Bears, I ran across a piece of hers, and it went back to that New England game, and it was something that kind of caught my attention, and it said that tackles Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright are left on an island 68 and 71% of the time. It's one of the highest rates in the NFL. And when they are in against quality pass protection, that number is slightly over expectations. So that part of the offensive line was hugely missed, and obviously we all saw it against the New England Patriots. Per PFF, both are among the top 25% in tackles with a minimum of 20% 20% snaps. Jones ranks 18th out of 82 with a minimum of 20% snaps, nearly identical run and pass grades. Wright is 21 out of 82. He's a stronger run blocker, but he's closing the gap on pass blocking versus what he's improved on from last year. So both coming in looking average, considering there's 64 tackles at the position. They are both having top 21 season sounds pretty good, right? Only 3 teams, both tackles, are in the top 21: Philadelphia, Minnesota, the Chargers, and the Bears. So I know we picked on the Bears' offensive line a lot. This also goes to Tevin Jenkins, because Tevin Jenkins is obviously, and I have a little piece on Tevin Jenkins in here too, and his amazing numbers when he's actually on the field. So, and I myself, and I wanted to touch on this because I myself have been very, very hard on this offensive line. Jenkins this year has 542 snaps, 2 penalties, and 3 sacks allowed. He's a 77.6 overall, 78 pass blocking, 73 run blocking. He's a top 5 guard when he's on the field. Going into this offseason, we know we can't replace the entire offensive line. So knowing these numbers and hearing some of this stuff, I have to say I think Ryan Poles might have done a little bit better job on this offensive line than what I've given him credit for on both tackles. Obviously, Tevin Jenkins was here before him, but Coleman Shelton has also turned it around as well. So having all these numbers in front of you coming into this offseason, we know we still have to improve this offensive line. Where would you be with Braxton Jones and especially Tevin Jenkins? Because these are two things that have to be ironed out. Where are you at with these guys?
Well, I think Braxton Jones is going to be your left tackle next year, if that's what you're asking. I mean, I think you could be better there, Sean. I think if you look at like which all the stuff you just said, I think you said ranked 18th.
Yeah.
If you look at that compared his value compared to where he was drafted as a 5th round pick, he's a really good player, man. I mean, there's a lot of teams that would settle for Braxton Jones being their starting left tackle, or maybe even possibly try to work him at right tackle, but he's not a top 10 guy. So if you're going to try to flip this offensive line and make the best you can for Caleb Williams, I probably don't re-sign Tevin Jenkins, knowing that the injury concern will most likely repeat itself. And with Braxton, he's got one more year on his deal after this. You see how he plays, but you make sure if you're going to try to flip this offensive line, you're going to do it early in the draft. You take a left tackle with your 1st round pick.
Right. Okay.
And if you do that, you might as well get rid of Braxton Jones anyways, man. Braxton Jones is probably a little better than a depth piece. You know what I mean? There's probably a team out there that would consider a trade for Braxton Jones if he's just going to be on our bench. That
Right.
I believe he's been good enough for that for sure. What do you think, Sean? What do you think? Do you think? Let me ask you this: do you think? I asked Kyle this. This is the question I did ask on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think if Thomas Brown continues to develop this offense and find a way to adapt to the shortcomings of this line, like quick release passes.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not doing that every time, man. He's getting success out of quick release passes, running the ball a little bit, not very successfully against the Vikings, and then he's allowing Caleb to look for a downfield pass, and it's working. Do you think that Thomas Brown continues to improve this offensive line as well as he does Caleb Williams?
I do. I do because
And
he's doing.
I said to Kyle, not individually, not the players individually themselves, the unit. Will the unit grow? You know what I mean?
I do think so, because he seems to be able to work around the weaknesses, something we were waiting for Shane Waldron. Immediately, this guy came in and recognized the problems, compressing the line and getting the ball out quicker. It's helped everybody. I mean, you've just seen over the past 2 weeks the I shouldn't say the development because these players have been here, but the numbers, the PFF numbers for all the linemen have rose. They're now playing to their strengths instead of playing against their weaknesses. So I do think that if he can continue to do this, and like here, the Bears should have won against Minnesota. That's the only thing I have to apologize for because I went on here and I guaranteed the Bears were going to win that game. And God damn it, Matt Eberflus made me look like a fool again. They kicked that field goal and they win at the end of the game by 3 points when they had that 4th and 3 within field goal range and they decided to go for it and they didn't get it. That right there, they kicked that field goal. Bears are up by 3. The end of the game, it's over. Bears win by 3 points. So
Well, I was thinking about this too. Even if you exclude Matt Eberflus, this Bears team in general, because of Matt Eberflus, now finds a way to lose
Yeah.
in every way. Because Cole Kmet had his only drop of the year, his first drop of the year is in week 12. One of the most pivotal points of any game this year. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like when he dropped, that was huge. When he dropped that pass, and then DeAndre Carter, who's been sound all year, every time he's going out to return a kick, I'm thinking to myself, I'm not no concern. You know what I mean? The Velus Jones feelings are gone. Like when Carter's going out there, I'm not thinking we're gonna muff this, we're gonna fumble it, they're gonna get the ball. And he has his first fumbled punt return, Carter, at a very pivotal
Yeah.
point, at a very important game. So it feels like Eberflus's lack of accountability and leadership has just bled into everything now at
It
this juncture. It
kind of
doesn't.
feels that way. You
Yeah,
know, I,
I
really quick on the tackles. I forgot to get this. I forgot to get this out. Since week 5, Donnell Wright ranks fourth as the fourth highest right tackle. Braxton Jones, the ninth highest left tackle in football. Just wanted to get that out since week 5, and I think they're going to continue to improve with Thomas Brown because Thomas Brown, as we were just talking about, does the exact opposite. Waldron's plays were slow developing, and it's hard to block on every play for 10 seconds. And that's kind of what it seemed like they had to do. So the line was just getting annihilated. Now with the ball coming out quicker, he seems to sit down. And I like the fact that Caleb Williams came out and was talking about, hey, this guy sits down, he works with me, talks to me, kind of figures out what I need to do and what we need to do as a team. And I was actually heard, I think it was Thomas Brown who said that the guy who I wanted fired, Chris Morgan, and him come up with the game plans every week. So if this development on the offensive line is continuing and Thomas Brown is helping this offense grow using the tools that they have properly, maybe Chris Morgan isn't really the problem that we thought he was, especially looking at some of these numbers across the board. Coleman Shelton's has improved. Tevin Jenkins has looked great. We just went over the tackle numbers. So I myself have been really, really hard. I mean, you guys know I've blown this team up. It's just more frustration
well,
and
they've
anger.
played. I mean, and it's not like you've done that out of like out of turn, man. I mean, these guys have allowed 9 sacks in a single game.
Oh God.
I mean, and let's forget about the 9 sacks in that game, man. Let's go to a game like Houston where the offensive line was healthy, where you're not
Yeah.
missing Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright. Not like the Patriots game where these guys aren't even in the game. Look at this game. That I mean, what was it? What was it? 7 sacks against the Texans.
Yes,
Yeah. So I
it
mean,
was.
that was with a healthy offensive line. So I mean, you're not wrong, but I agree with you when it comes to this. I think this offensive line is good enough.
Hmm.
They have enough strength. So like regarding their strengths and weaknesses, one of their strengths is that they're good enough for a brief period of time. You know what I mean? Like it's Thomas Brown has shown us that they can hold up. You just can't ask them to do it forever. And
Right.
that's what Shane Waldron was doing. And Sean, how many times did me, you, Dustin, and Kyle talk about it? It just never changed. He never acted like he had a bad offensive line. No point this season where it's like, oh, Shane Waldron's really starting to see that his offensive line is really not doing what it's supposed to. He never got there. It felt like he was trying to. He was the plays that Caleb Williams. We were talking about this. Me and you specifically. Plays where Caleb Williams was not even, or sorry, Caleb Williams was throwing the ball and the receiver's not even on his break yet. You know what I mean? He's still
Yeah.
back to the quarterback 10 yards down the field. It's like, dude, we can't do this. We
Nope.
can't do this with the protection we have on this team. It's not working. And Shane never changed.
I find it crazy that it took like Thomas Brown and him never collaborated, or maybe Shane Waldron was just too hard headed to listen to Thomas Brown because it's like, boom, he's gone. First week, this offense was electric. I shouldn't say electric. We scored 19 points, but the ball moved. It was getting
And
out quick.
DeAndre Swift had a great game.
Yeah.
You know what I
He
mean?
took, well, the funny thing with Shane Waldron was he was spreading out the formations, and then he's trying to get the ball to the flat. But when you're spread out, there is no flat. You got to compress the line and able to use these whip routes and these these little toss plays and stuff that have been so effective, and even these little short
Well,
passes.
and another thing Waldron consistently did, because you're like me, Sean, you watch the Tim Jenkins stuff.
Yeah.
You watch the QB school. How many times do you hear those guys say, like, I consistently see the Bears receivers running side by side on routes?
Yeah. Uh, what was funny was I actually was thinking that because they were running at the same depth. And like you just said, you turn
Yeah, you
around, I was sitting next to each other, like, dude.
yeah, I mean you're putting like all the defenders are like, oh, this is nice. We all just gotta stay in one place here. You know what I mean? You had two corners and a safety all on top of each other because I don't know what Waldron thought he was doing something clever. Like maybe he was gonna, I don't know if he's maybe trying to set picks or something. You don't often see an NFL offense have two guys running basically the same route side by side on the same side of the field. Like it's just, you want receivers to have space and a
Yeah,
quarterback to have space to put the ball. You know what I mean?
it was really goofy. And I was a victim, because I watched. I can't remember if it was Tim Jenkins. It might have been Chase Daniel. It was one of those guys. I watched the breakdown of the offense of Shane Waldron when he got hired, and I was actually kind of excited because he used the tight ends out of the backfield. He used these crazy formations, and he would attack all three levels. And it's like he came here to Chicago and he forgot how to coach. I mean, that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong, but he either he didn't listen, he was too stubborn, he thought he knew better than everybody else. But Thomas Brown, like I said, man, our guy, our guy comes in here, and I mean, when's the last time we see this out of a coach? Come on, man, let's go. Come on, this guy, he brings something that I don't think the Bears have had. He brings like an aura of energy and excitement, and I think that's something that is kind of catching on with the offense because I mean DJ Moore's finally being used correctly. Thank God. For the love of Christ, it only took 11 weeks and someone to be fired. You got Keenan Allen. He seems to be coming back alive. I was a little disappointed that.
Cole Komet's getting targeted.
Yeah, and I'll be honest. I was really surprised. I took the Roma Dunze over 47 yards. I really thought after the Green Bay game that him and Caleb were going to start hooking up a lot more, and it just didn't work out last week, obviously. So apologize for that bet, guys. But we did do well on Kashmir Passam. Anyways, uh, I'm like you guys, man. I'm not expecting an ass thrashing this week. I am not. I think the Lions are going to score. I think they may score at
Well,
will.
no. So yeah, it's funny that you say that, man, because when I talk to people about the Bears in passing, right? Like you know what I
Yeah,
mean, like the hey, how are you stuff. So he's like, what about the Bears this weekend as they're walking in and out of the building I'm working in? It's like, they're gonna get smoked, you know what I mean? But in reality, a woman I work with came up to me and asked me, pick 3 games out of the NFL line this
sure.
weekend. She said pick 3 games, and she's taught it's a pick 'em thing they do, you know what I mean? And you have to pick 3 games correctly, but she said it's really truly based on the spread, not who's
Okay.
going to win. Because she's like, the Chiefs are going to destroy whoever they're playing. Some this week it's really like the Panthers, somebody really bad.
Yeah.
She's like, but the spread is scary because it was like 13 and a half. So she's like, just pick 3 teams that you feel sure are going to win, like in it with a close spread. And I thought to myself, I was going to say Lions Bears, man, but you look at that spread at I think 9.5. Who could possibly feel comfortable betting the Bears not covering a spread because every game they lose is by like a point or two.
Yeah. And
So as much as I joke, sorry, long story short, as much as I
nope.
joke about them getting murdered, they're probably going to be there at the end of this game, man, hanging
Yeah.
around. I don't know. That's what they seem to do.
I'll tell you, their defense is bend don't break. As we said, their red zone defense is third in the league. They're really close to being the best in the league. And honestly, just looking at the development of Caleb Williams, and if this game's close in the fourth quarter, I mean his fourth quarter stats this season, he's 74 for 110, a 67.3 pass completion percentage, 689 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception with a 95.6 QB rating. I mean, dude, those
Yeah,
are
Sean,
spectacular.
Listen to this too. I don't know the source.
Hmm.
Oh no, it says PFF Shy Bears. So I don't know where this comes from. But Caleb Williams on third and fourth downs versus the Packers. This is the game against the game against the
Yeah.
Packers. 93% PFF grade. 10 for 12 passing, 112 yards, 8 of them first down. The passes, 4 rushes for 40 yards, 4 rushing first downs. So I mean, when it
Wow.
comes to the fourth down, third down, fourth quarter of games, Caleb Williams, guys, after watching Justin Fields for as long as we did, and Justin Fields was explosive and exciting, but you never felt good in a
No.
one score game coming down to the end. You never felt good with Justin Fields. With Caleb, I'm always thinking he's about to do something. Man, he's gonna do something. You know what I mean? He's gonna do something to get this team to the end zone when it matters most. That's what he's gonna do. Even
Hmm.
when I'm watching games through 3 quarters and the Bears are down, I keep telling the people around me like, Caleb's going to do something in the fourth quarter. He's going to score a touchdown. You know, I'm starting to feel pretty confident saying that. So.
And here, man, I'll be perfectly honest, dude. I mean, I was sitting with your brother watching this game this past week, and holy mackerel! I mean, he had 7 explosive plays, and I think it was Get Up or Good Morning Football said 6 of those explosive plays were 6 of the most explosive plays in the NFL. I mean, that ball placement, that the ball through the 2 defenders, I believe it was to Keenan Allen, and just, I mean, he was in the air when he threw that ball down the sideline to
The
DeAndre
Swift.
Swift
Yeah.
in between 2 defenders on a dime. I mean, if I had an eye popping out of my head emoji, I'd like to put it up right now because I was like, holy shit, this is what everyone's talking about. That
Yeah.
was fun stuff.
I was, there's no way that a fan, these guys who have been, I guess, not supportive of Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
I'll say haters, but I'll say guys who just don't believe in Caleb Williams, not supporters of Caleb Williams. If you watch that game and you still don't believe in this guy's rookie year, you watch what you watched against Minnesota, and you still don't believe there's a future star here, then you
Right.
are just a hater. That's all you are. If you were a
I
person
agree.
that was skeptical, like I haven't seen it. I didn't watch USC. He's kind of a diva. He paints his nails. I heard the ownership. If you're just reading the news and you're believing some of this stuff, like it's got to be true. And you don't know much about him as a player, and you've watched the Bears early on through Shane Waldron's shortcomings. Caleb looked bad. You know what I mean? You're like, I like Fields. Screw this guy. If you watch the Vikings game and you still haven't changed the way you feel, you're a hater. You don't know how to properly analyze talent in the sport because the guy is doing things that good quarterbacks in the NFL, Sean, I'm talking about good successful ones, dream
Yeah,
of. Good
I agree.
quarterbacks dream of doing the things Caleb Williams does.
And that, not only that, man, those runs, his runs, like
Oh, the
avoiding
one
pressure.
Kyle mentioned it. The one where he leaps over his own offensive lineman lying on the ground on a fourth down. Yeah, to get a first down. Or
I
yeah,
mean,
there was a few where it was in major points of the game too.
hey, and really quick, I did just Google this. It says Caleb Williams has got more than 5 games without throwing an interception, stretch of 193 passes. With 19 more this week, he will pass Kyler Murray for the NFL rookie record of 211 set in 2019. I think CJ Stroud was 196. So I think he's 3 away from Stroud. I,
Uh,
I think I think Stroud was 196. I'd have to
so
look
yeah,
that up.
he better get Stroud.
But,
I hate talking about this, man. It feels like talking about like a no hitter or something. You know what I mean?
right. No, I feel you. And it blows my mind. It boggles my mind. We're not going anywhere, and I'm still just hearing Bears fans upset about not making the playoffs and things of that nature. I just want to say, guys, look at what we have here. Look at what look at the way. I'm sorry, guys. I'm under the influence of some narcotics today for some pain that I'm in. So my thoughts are a little jumbled. I apologize. Um, and I lost my train of thought there. Oh
Well,
God.
just yeah. I
Um,
mean, what you got to do, man? What I believe as a Bears fan is once you lose hope, and this sounds so sad, but it's the truth.
yeah,
Once you lose hope of this team being successful, like a playoff season, once you
like
let
we
that
have.
go, forget about that. No longer make that your expectation. Make your expectation to focus on Caleb Williams' development. You
Mhm.
will feel better about a game like Minnesota.
Yep.
The next day, man, I woke up and I thought, man, I'm going to watch some Caleb highlights. I'm going to look at his stats compared to the other quarterbacks this week. You know what I mean? Where does
Yep.
he fall in yards? And guess what, guys? He was the number one quarterback this weekend in yards with 340. That's the kind of stuff I'm looking after
Yep.
the Bears lose another one. And I said to Kyle early in the show on Monday, the sting is gone from me, man. When the Bears lose and I wake up on Monday now, I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel as crappy anymore. It's
I think
and
I'm
that
with you.
sucks. It sucks to say that, but Sean, that is what you got to do to feel better about this thing going forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we've made this season. We've made the season. We went into this season, and we've said from the beginning, if it's not about Caleb Williams and his development, then this season is about nothing.
Yeah,
We've
you know
said
what's
this
funny?
the whole time.
People, Sean, that's a good point, and I think a lot of people once the Bears started 4-2, I think a lot of
Super
people
Bowl.
definitely, I think people lost sight of the Caleb Williams growth thing. I think people thought now the playoffs thing, it's so close. It's so close
Real.
to, it's so in reach that that's what's most important now. And then when it started to fall out of place, now they no longer cared about Caleb. But it's like, wait, we still got to focus on this one thing we wanted to focus on in the first place, man. You know what I mean?
Hey, Bruce, Kyle is at River Street, so you'll see him when you head over to 102 North River Street Tavern, our favorite sponsor. Not to mention, we will be having our very first live event, raising money for Bears Care on December 16th for that Monday night football game versus the Minnesota Vikings. The limited menu just means there will be no bowls or big items. We will have handhelds and appetizers ready to go. We're going to have some raffles each quarter. We got some autograph frame photos. Kevin Butler, Dan Hampton, DJ Moore, Lance Briggs. We know Big Fudge Breaks is bringing in an autograph football, I believe. That's going to be awesome. It's going to be a great time. We'd like to see everyone come out. They're opening the restaurant just for us for this live event. So please make us look good. Come out, hang out with us. We're going to have a good time regardless of the Bears win or lose. We're going to watch the development of Caleb Williams and slap hands every time he does something great. So December 16th, boys, we hope to see you at 102 North River Street Tavern, East Dundee, Illinois. Moving on here, there was, I know we had this talk. So the number comparison is out. And this was the Jalen Carter, Javon Dexter. I really wanted to touch on this with you, Brandon, because you and I have went back and forth for a better part of a year on these two dudes. So let's just go numbers for numbers on the year. Javon Dexter, Jalen Carter. I think people are going to be surprised by some of this.
Well, are we comparing them because of the position?
Because of the position, and we had this talk a couple shows ago about, do we have some draft remorse at number 10, not taking Carter, taking Wright
Yeah, I think
instead of
so. Yeah, I
Carter.
think. Yeah. Okay. No. Yeah. Go ahead, man.
So Javon Dexter has 288 pass rush snaps this year. Jalen Carter 361. 33 pressures on the quarterback for Javon Dexter, 35 for Jalen Carter. Javon Dexter has 5 sacks. Jalen Carter has 4. Pass rush productivity, 7.0 yards for Dexter. He's losing in this category. It's 5.8 for Jalen Carter. Pass rush win rate is 12.4% for Jalen Carter. It's 10.6% for Javon Dexter. 29 pressures for Javon Dexter on true pass sets, 19 pressures on true pass sets for Jalen Carter. The win rate on the true pass sets are identical at 17. Jalen Carter 17.2. I call that even. For me, it looks like Carter is what we call a multiplier, and Javon Dexter's a really solid football player. Would that be fair? Now, in comparison, where I'm going with this, Carter being picked, Carter or Wright being picked in the second round is better than any of the other right tackles selected after him or in that draft. So saying that we got protection in that draft and still ended up with a Javon Dexter based on the numbers. Obviously, as I said, Jalen Carter looks like a more dominant football player, but we got similar products. So if we put this all on the table like I just did, do you still have draft remorse? Do you still wish we got Carter and not Wright? Or where would that go when we break down these numbers and we put that comparison out there? How do you feel about that, Brando? I should have wrote them all down and put them
Yeah,
on the bottom of the screen.
yeah. I still have remorse, man, because so I can't really put this on like paper, but what Jalen Carter does, I consider Jalen Carter a game wrecker. What I mean is like at the most pivotal point in a game when an offense needs something big, they need to score. Jalen Carter's the guy at that moment that's going to come and put, hurry a throw or blow a running back up in a backfield or fill a gap. I mean, a game wrecker. Whereas Jervon Dexter is going to impact the game, but not. He'll probably never be a reason a team literally wins a football game. Jalen Carter could probably do that, man. Like, be the reason the Eagles win a game. But I also liked a lot of the tackles that season that were taken after Darnell Wright. So, and I think some of them have been, if I'm not mistaken, man, some of the tackles taken that season have been statistically better than
Better
Darnell
than
Wright.
Jalen Wright or
Yeah,
Darnell Wright,
yeah.
excuse me.
I think Broderick Jones is out of Georgia, who was taken to Pittsburgh after the Bears. I think he's been better statistically than Darnell Wright is.
Let's take a look at Broderick Jones. See what we got here. I like the fact that, and here I'm with Kyle on this. I think that Darnell Wright is still a very young individual, and I still think he's going to grow up into
Yeah,
a
and I think you
very.
agreed with me. This is where I stood on Darnell Wright, and I think you agreed with me. I don't want to assess Darnell Wright. Darnell Wright right now is not a top 10 right tackle in football, and he should be where he was drafted. But I really don't want to assess Darnell Wright until the interior offensive line is not utter horseshit, man. Because like you just said, Kirsten, that writer, whatever, said, these guys are on an island. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Darnell Wright is playing on an island more often than not. I believe that. I believe that Darnell Wright cannot, and this is important, guys, when you're on an offensive line, when you're a line that needs players that need to trust each other to be doing what you're supposed to be doing. Darnell Wright needs to focus on an edge rusher that's in front of him. He cannot have, even in his peripheral, he cannot rely on seeing what's next to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
And I believe this season, Darnell Wright probably, if you focus on it, Sean, more often than not, has his head ever so slightly turned to see what's happening next to him, to know that to just be aware if he needs to help. I think that's what Darnell Wright's trying to do. And I think that will affect a player who's playing a position against more often than not tougher opponents. There's better edge. There's more quality edge rushers in the NFL than there is monster tackles. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Broderick Jones not having a good year, my friend. Not
No.
this year. 50 pass blocking, 53 overall, 59 run blocking. You had 28 pressures allowed, 8 sacks, uh, and 700 offensive snaps, and 694 at the right tackle position. He's played 5 at the tight end position. Not having a good year as of right now. He had a much better year last year. He had a much better year last year. I don't know what's going on with him. But
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was
nonetheless,
good. He was good as a rookie. And Pittsburgh's offensive line right now has 3 rookies starting.
yep,
So that's probably, again, he might be in a position where he's trying to play up
play extra.
for other people, because like we saw, I mean, and then you get guys like Bill Murray who you literally physically or visibly see on a play, he's got to go push this guy's guy and that guy's guy and that guy. You know what I mean? Remember that play when Murray's going and just pushing people over? Good offensive linemen are you can visibly see good offensive line are concerned about these guys, the Coleman Sheltons, Nate Davises of the league. They're concerned about them doing their job. And that's not good, man.
I'll tell you this.
You think the Lions players, you think those Lions offensive linemen are concerned about turning their back to the guy next to them?
No,
No, I mean, they're gonna do their job, and they're gonna know that the guy next to him is where he's supposed to be. We don't
yeah,
even have. That's the thing. So, Sean, this is what I was trying to say to Kyle when I talked about the unit. That's the thing Thomas Brown can fix, because as far as I'm concerned, I don't think these players are as bad as we. This is what, and to answer your question, I don't think they're as bad as we all think they are. I think they've never been
yeah,
a unit, and everybody keeps saying you have to have continuity. You can't have injuries. It can't be different guys all the time. I think it can. I think it needs to be coached the same way, no matter who's in. And I
yeah,
think you can continue to grow this unit to be where they're like to know that each guy can hold themselves accountable and know there's where they're supposed to be, so they can all trust each other as a unit. I think that they can get that out of these guys, these five guys. I do.
yeah. I agree. I mean, the last 2 weeks. It's not like Bears football to me. It's nothing like I've seen, and it's a coach with a brain actually using the players the way they're supposed to be used. I'm actually enthralled with Thomas Brown, and I was very, very happy to see him continue to have success and put together a game plan and actually eliminate the blitz of the Minnesota Vikings.
Well,
This guy
and
right here, man. Like this guy right here. Love this guy. Like
yeah, and think
it,
about this. Think about this, Sean. If you're going to interview this guy as a head coach, which I'm sure the Bears, he's got to be on their list. Ryan Poles has a list of names right now, guys.
mhm,
He doesn't need to fire Foose to start looking for something else. He's got a list of names. And Thomas Brown is on that list, and he's probably working his way up the list. Ryan Poles is probably constantly adjusting this list and who he likes most. Probably watching how teams, the coordinators of some of these active coordinators of some of these NFL teams are doing today. You know what I mean? There's guys, man, that we all thought were going to be head coaches, and now we're thinking, looking at some of these situations, thinking, there's no way this freaking guy gets hired, man. Like, I thought Clint Kubiak was a guaranteed head coach in the first 2 weeks of this season. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Saints scored like 50 something. Now I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't even know if he'll return as the Saints offensive coordinator, man. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, man.
That
So
team's falling off, man.
so I'm sure Poles is constantly moving this list around up and down, but Thomas Brown has to be on here, Sean. And if he's on your list, why would, instead of an interview with Thomas Brown at the end of the season, why wouldn't you just give him an audition now? Why wouldn't you just do it now and see? Imagine this. This guy's doing a really good job at progressing
This is
Caleb
the
Williams.
list, guys.
Yeah, he's third there. So
Yep.
the gambling odds have him at least for sure getting an interview, right? If
Mm-hmm.
he's third favorite to be hired, he's getting an interview. So you have him here. You can audition this guy instead of interviewing him at the end of the year. You can audition him now, and you can see this, man, because he's developing Caleb Williams, and it's working. Caleb's progressing, and you don't want to affect that. I know that you're probably thinking, man, I really don't want to break this thing that's working between Brown and Caleb. But if you make Caleb Williams or Thomas Brown the head coach of this football team, let's say they win a few games, and Caleb's development continues, then man, this guy's not just doing, because the one thing we're all impressed by right now, guys, is play calling, right? His play calling is giving Caleb the ability to grow and be a better player. If he continues to do this, make Caleb a better player game by game, and wins a couple of games while commanding the entire team, then I have a head coach, not just an offensive coordinator next year for Caleb Williams and this Bears team. I have a head coach. I have a guy who can do this, who can hold himself to a higher standard than calling plays. It could be in charge of 53 violent men, you know. So I think Thomas Brown should probably be given an opportunity before season ends to be the head coach of this team for at least 2 or 3 weeks. If you're not going to do it immediately after this loss, which is about to occur tomorrow, guys, early. And I hate saying that. I love my Bears, but the reality is the Detroit Lions are just too much for this Bears defense, who we're kind of seeing dwindle away week by week. Health is failing. Matty Eberflus is basically just losing this locker room entirely. It looks like Tyreek Stevenson is pretty much done playing for the Bears. Terrell Smith clearly isn't as talented as Tyreek Stevenson is, so you've got a little bit of a clusterfuck going on there too. So we will see where this goes. I believe this. I think Thomas Brown should possibly get an audition as the head coach of this football team before the season ends. And I think that David Kaplan's prediction from 2 weeks ago of Matt Eberflus being fired pending a loss in Detroit tomorrow might possibly be true. I think Cap might be right about that, guys. I believe that if they're blown out in Detroit tomorrow, this Bears team is blown out. You now lost 3 consecutive divisional games, 2 of them at home, and 6 games total in a row. It's a 6 game slide if you lose to Detroit tomorrow. I don't see how there's any way possible. It's in Ryan Pohl's best interest as the general manager to keep Matty Eberflus as the head coach of this football team. I just don't see it happening. There's no way. Sean, is there any way that if Matty Eberflus, which by the way, I'm sure you're aware, Cat predicted 2 weeks ago
Yeah.
that if there's any, is there any way that if the Bears just get hammered in this football game in Detroit, now you have 3 divisional losses in a row, 2 of them at home, on top of a 6 game losing skid in general. Is there any way that Poles fires this guy after tomorrow morning, man?
I'd like to say yes. Um, I'd like to say yes. I just, it's not, it's,
I asked this. I asked this on. Let me ask you this, Sean. It's something the Bears have never done. We know the Bears are big in their
yeah, they've never
traditions,
done
and
it.
we also know they don't like people breaking their traditions. So Ryan, this would probably be something Ryan Poles would do rogue. It's probably not something that George would call Ryan up and say, "Go do." Now, if Ryan Poles did this, if he fired Matty Befus Friday and will come Friday morning, do you feel more confident in him being the guy that finds your next head coach?
Yes, but that comes with a asterisk, I guess. See, for me, it's kind of hard because I like, after hearing your guy that you like, Liam Cohen, worked as the offensive coordinator and the assistant coach was Thomas Brown in Los Angeles. I feel like this could be a
Oh, I
marriage
think I
that
think I think
work.
those two guys, I think those two gentlemen both
Yes.
act more like leaders than the guy who's in charge of our football team
Hmm.
currently. Both of those guys come off to me as more of a head coach than Matt Eberflus.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, they also, if I'm not mistaken, worked with Kevin O'Connell, at least maybe Thomas Brown. I don't know about Lee and Cohen, but they're all coming from this McVay school, which is really, really awesome. And it's like, huh, these two work together in a fantastically great offense. I know they had a lot of great players there, but they made it work. This could be the ticket because if you have to say it doesn't work with Cohen, it doesn't work with Brown, it's not a complete overhaul, I guess, in a way, because you're keeping the OC. You're only hiring a head coach. Whether he keeps Eric Washington, finds a new defensive coordinator, I don't know what's going to happen there. We've never really even touched on that.
No, you said it yourself, Sean. I think if you're gonna hire a head coach like Liam Cohen and you're gonna I'll be honest with you, man, I think he's gonna bring his own guy in. I don't think he's gonna want Thomas Brown. But if let's say you do hire a guy like Liam Cohen, he interviews Thomas Brown, he likes him for the position, right? Because Thomas Brown's worked with Caleb now, so that would matter to Liam, I'm imagining. Why not go do this now, kind of the way opposite the way we've been doing? Like, why not go get that guy who just commands the defense himself, still runs things through a good head coach, not like Flus, who's oblivious to everything else.
Right.
Why not go get that Robert Sala who literally runs a defensive room? I mean, he is entirely in control of it, and you still hear him in your headset on every play call. This is the way that I've been led to understand it by Yurko, guys. Is the head coach hears the play call always, constantly, whether it be offense, defense, he hears every call. He almost never responds unless he has to. This is what I was literally heard today. He almost doesn't respond unless he's required to, unless he feels something's not right or something could be better. And I
So
think that's the thing. I think that's the thing. Flus, I guarantee you, Sean, that's the thing that's
Eberflus don't talk much.
no. I guarantee you that's the thing that's just not happening. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I agree. I
Because
mean,
he's focused on the next drive on defense.
no,
So when his offense is on, when Flus's offense is on the field, he is still very focused on something defensively. You know what I mean? When you're not the play caller, you don't have to. When your team's on offense, you don't have to focus on what you're going to do when you get the ball back, based on the situation you're in the game. You know what I mean?
now, if the reports are true about Poles being able to, let go loose, but he chose to keep him. Do you not hold that against him and make you worry a little bit that he decided that this guy was our guy?
Oh, I'm past that, Sean. I'm long past that. So what I'm hoping for now is
But I'm
some.
just saying it doesn't concern you that he can make the same mistake at head coach again and misread the field. That's kind of where I'm at. Like,
I from what I understand, man, and this is just from what I've read and what I've heard.
yeah.
Ryan Poles has never hired a head coach from an open pool of
Well, this
coaches.
was mine.
I
Eric
know
Thames.
you. I know you showed
Yeah.
this, but I,
I don't know if
I'm
this is true or not.
and I told you I was going to find it for you, and I haven't, but I will. The NBC Sports article that
Yeah.
I read about Phillips,
Hmm.
McCaskey, Poles, and Flus, and how that whole thing occurred. It makes Flus almost in the story, man, sound like a third party. It really does. Like he is the least involved in the story in the article itself. So I don't know. The way I'm interpreting it is George McCaskey kind of leaned on him a little bit, but he called George McCaskey referred to Matt Eberflus. I know this before he was hired as the head coach. He referred to him because they had, I think, what was it? They had a pretty astronomical amount of interview, like seven
Yeah. Yeah. It was
candidate
a lot.
candidates. He referred to Eberflus as my guy. That's what he called him.
It's interesting.
That's what George McCaskey called. That's what he referred to Eberflus as to Ryan Poles before he was hired.
And
My
and
guy.
I don't have any ill will towards Matt Eberflus. It's just you just look at the guy and know that he's overmatched. He's outwitted. He's not an head coach.
I do, Sean. I have a lot of ill will towards him because he hired some coaches that got fired for doing some weird things.
Sure.
I
Sure.
don't know what the hell that's about, but those are people he considered his friends, and he probably still
Right.
does. I'll be honest.
Right.
Second, he doesn't change. I mean, you would think this year when you're 4-2 and then you start to lose games and you get to 4-5 now, right? You lost three in a row. Maybe before you even consider firing Shane Waldron because your offense hasn't scored any touchdowns over 2 weeks, you just got clobbered by Arizona and New England back to back. Maybe he should have thought to himself too, as well as
Switched up.
while he was making changes. You know what, guys? He should have came out to that podium and said, "We made some changes, guys, for the better of this football team. We want to see this football team win. We want to compete. I let go of Shane Waldron. He's no longer the offensive coordinator, and I gave the play calling to my defensive coordinator, Eric Washington. I'm no longer the caller of plays, so that I can focus on generally a more broader view of what's happening on Sundays. That's what I did. But no, this play. Dustin said it best. Play calling is the only thing that Flus can. It's his little floaty. It's his little, you know what I mean? He's sinking, and what he's holding on to that's keeping him afloat, keeping him above water is his little play calling. And I don't see how Ryan Poles at this juncture isn't still falling
Well,
for this bluff. You
well,
know what I
I
mean?
will. I will tell you that on that note, with Matt Eberflus, he was hanging his hat on the defense for a while, right? Correct. That's what you were just saying.
Yeah,
Since the bye,
on his ability to call plays.
481 to Washington, 350 to Arizona, 328 to New England, 366 to Green Bay, 452 to Minnesota. He doesn't have much to hang his hat on anymore. Like, I
No,
do.
and Sean, he's lost some pivotal pieces. No, sorry, go ahead, finish.
No, as saying this, and now, no, as saying this, and now going back to your question, if he gives up another 500 burger, another 450 burger this weekend, Yeah, there is no reason to keep him here because he was a defensive guru, quotation
Right.
marks.
And he
So
was no, and I think there was two things. I think it was play calling, and I think the other thing was what's up, MS?
what's up,
I think the
MS?
I think the other thing was he said Bruce and Kyle, that son of a bitch. Just we love you, MS. But the other thing is he had a locker room, right? Wasn't that
Yeah,
always Bruce's big sell? It was always anybody that I heard, man, that defended him coming back when they first announced this said to me, I mean, he kept that locker room together through a lot of things, a lot of adversity, a lot of losing. You know what I mean? Kept that locker room together. Well, first off, most of the adversity was caused by Matt Eberflus. The coaches, the weird whatever caused those guys to resign was weird. That's Matty Flus's problem. So don't say that he kept the locker room together when he got those guys out of the building. He brought them in the building. That's why they were in the building. He
yeah.
invited them in. You know what I mean? When you go to somebody's party and there's a bunch of weird people there, and you ask the host, why are these people here? And he's like, oh, I invited them. I'll get rid of them, or you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna leave. I'm not gonna leave unless they do. Like he brought them here, man. He invited them, man. So it's like just get the hell out of the party yourself. You know what I mean? But Matt Eberflus caused most of the problems that have been presented to him, and
Yes.
Tyreek Stevenson's not even playing anymore. I mean, we can't say this guy has a locker room when one of the players on his side of the football literally is just a body on the field at this juncture.
And
Man, it
quit?
gets uglier week by week.
Would you say quit? He quit on the
Yeah,
team? Tyree
yeah,
Stevenson?
yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's about there. Yeah,
I, Here, we all wanted Tyrell Smith because his numbers were better, man. He got torched. Jordan Addison destroyed him this week. Oh
yeah.
my god.
No, yeah. He's not very good, man.
Maybe I
Well,
don't want Terrell Smith
I
either.
don't know. He's that's like his. He hasn't played very much football, man. So I don't know. He's still got a potential to be a good football player, but Tyree
It
Stevenson's a better player than Terrell Smith is.
Ant-Man says a 34-27 Bears win in an upset. I'm going to tell you. I'll get in. I'll get into my pick because really fast because it's really close to this, but it's not in the direction in what you think it's going to be. Um, um, I think the Bears are going to have a lot of problems stopping the the run game. I would take the overs on both running backs. I would take them for anytime touchdowns. You also have to deal with a gentleman by the name of Amon-Ra St. Brown, who happens to be eighth in the NFL in receiving yards, fourth in catches, and second in touchdown catches. That's another big component. Can the Bears do it? Sure. I think the Bears can be decent against the wide receivers. I have a feeling that I hope it's not because I have Amon-Ra on my team and I need him to score me some points. But much like Justin Jefferson was all tied up with Jalen Johnson most of the game, I think you're going to flip that script and you could see a big game out of Jamison Williams here. Attack over the top for the Chicago Bear or for the Detroit Lions. I do like this as a trap game coming in overconfident. I agree with you. I just don't know. And we did go over the fourth quarter stats, and he's been amazing. Caleb Williams. So I'm going to say if the Bears can keep it close as we get into the end of this game, into that fourth quarter, and he can pull some magic, the key would be the Bears having the ball last, not giving up sacks right away. I'm going to take the Detroit Lions to beat our Chicago Bears on tomorrow, uh, 34 34 to 28 in favor of Detroit. And I am sorry. I have to do that. But fool me once, fool me twice. What's the old song? Won't be fooled again. So I think Detroit, I'm coming in with this confidence here. Detroit is 0-7 in their last 7 Thanksgiving games. So maybe, just maybe, Caleb Williams can actually have a fourth quarter comeback that's not destroyed by Matt Eberflus. Maybe we'll see. Brandon, what do you like as a final score in this football game on Thursday in Motor City?
It just seems fitting that Caleb loses to the third and final division game to your team, division team for his first time playing him in his career. I mean, it hurts so much, man, that Caleb would have beat the Packers for the first time in his career if that field goal wasn't blocked. But no, man,
They
I
should have
don't
beat them
like
both.
this. I didn't like this series before the season started. I think we all
Yeah.
kind of agreed the Bears would either do one of two things: lose them both or split it. And I know this whole the oh 07, oh, and you showed me the 0-7 on Thanksgiving thing, but I'll say this: if the Bears are going to beat this Lions team, it's not going to be in Detroit. It's not.
I agree.
This team, and it's a different team now, man. It is that 0-7 Lions team was the Lions we were very familiar with. This is not that Lions team. They're not lioning anymore, man. They're doing something different. They're winning football games, and they're a really good football team. And like I said, man, this Bears defense is getting worse. Lions offense is getting better week by week, and they're beating teams like 37-6, man. I mean, like
Yeah.
this is this this is not just a 9-1 football team. It's a really, really, really damn good one, man. So I don't know. I'm gonna say I still think this Bears defense does still play some quality football in the red zone, man. So I'm gonna
Yep.
say they keep Detroit to 27. Detroit's not gonna have one of them 40 burgers this game, but I think the Bears are only able to pull out 23 points.
23. All right. He's got a well, no, that's still about it's oops. That's still a good amount of points in this matchup. I think those are both the over. What is that? 51. What is the over in this game? Is it 49? Is it 49? Forgot. I do like, and we both have the Bears covering the spread. That I think that 10.5 or 10, it's down to 9.5. Excuse me, is a very big number. Um, it's 47.5. So we both
Yeah, and
have the over.
The Bears just don't lose like that very often, man. I'm surprised by that number, aren't you?
I'm very surprised by it. And our esteemed colleague over at CPS, Brandon Trax Hyatt, just sent me a thing that said, "Fun fact: the last time the Lions were 10-1 was 1934. In their 12th game, they lost to the Bears 1916 on Thanksgiving." So,
That
hey,
is an
let's bring
actual
back 34.
that is actually a fun fact, man, for sure. Like because
You know
and
what?
you know and you know I'll say this, man. The Bears have played this team really well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to I don't want to I want to keep some perspective on that because Justin Fields, do you know what Justin Fields averaged against the Lions rushing over his career as a Bear?
Were they big numbers? Was it big numbers?
130 yards against the Detroit
Yeah.
Lions.
You know
That was,
what?
well, I don't know. That was before the last time he played him. It was 132 yards before the last time he played him, I believe. So you have to take that element out of this. This Bears team's not the same. They're very different. They don't, our quarterback's not running for 130 yards. He's probably capable of it, but
I
he's
was
not
going to say,
doing it.
didn't he just run for 70 against the
But
Packers?
but I do think this, man. I think Fluce's defensive approach to Jared Goff is a big reason the Bears have been successful against them.
Yeah.
We took the ball away from Goff like 4 times in a game or something, man. Didn't we? Last year?
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
We still lost though.
Well, we won. We split, didn't we, last year with Detroit? Or did we get
Yeah.
swept?
Yeah, no, we split, but we lost the game that we took the ball away like four
Ball
times.
away.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see. The Lions allowed 94.4 yards. They've allowed 9 rushing touchdowns. They are the 5th best rush defense. And for all those historic numbers, I mean, the Vikings have went up. I mean, the Ravens are at 59 yards a game. They're up to 77.9. The Chiefs are still at 85. You got the Steelers at 90, and then 5, you have the Lions at 94.9. And the Bears are going to go to the bottom of the barrel. They're 20th at 130 yards per game allowed. I fear. I mean, we've watched it. Monty plays us. He is angry. He runs I mean, he runs angry every week, but he brings that extra chip. And I honestly think for him, because I thought at the Bears he was a good player, but I thought he was kind of a more of a plotter than he was like a good runner. I think the Bears letting him go was the best thing that ever happened to him in his career because
Well,
he's a different back in Detroit than he was here in Chicago. That's
well,
just my opinion.
and Sean, Justin Fields was a pretty quiet guy. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
he wasn't outspoken. He didn't make the headlines a whole lot. One thing he was willing to say on Amon Ra's podcast was, "Your team is dirty.
Hmm.
This Detroit team is dirty. It's not just the way that Montgomery runs against the Bears. The way we feel about Detroit or about Green Bay, man. My understanding from people from fans of the Detroit Lions is that's how the Lions fans feel about the Bears.
That we're dirty.
How we feel about the Packers is how Lions fans feel about the Bears.
Really?
We are their arch rival. They hate us. The players often dislike us. I don't know why it is because I always kind of felt like we both suck for so long that we were on the same team. You know what I mean? But yeah, no,
I did not know
Detroit.
that they hate
But
us that much. Is that
but
because we've been whooping their ass?
I think it's just because it's Smash Mouth, man. These two organizations have been just hit you in the mouth. You had Barry Sanders, Walter Payton. You know, what I mean, it's been run the football. They've both just been blood and guts kind of football teams. You know what I mean? Where we've been beat by the Packers because they just throw the ball all over us. You know what I mean? And Minnesota and Green Bay have been more known for high caliber passing offenses where us and Detroit are just kind of beating the crap out of each other year in and year out. So I'm sure the players dislike each other more on Detroit and Chicago than they do on Green Bay and Chicago.
It's going to be
But
really interesting game.
but yeah, Justin Fields said, man, at least once a game, every time he played him, somebody would hit him late.
I will tell you this too,
He
guys.
said Anzalone hit him all
And
the
he's out
time
for the
late.
year, by the way.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
gone. So
But
I will tell you guys this. If you haven't had a chance to check out a Monroe St. Brown's podcast, guys, it's awesome.
yeah.
He
And
is a funny dude.
Equinamius is cool too, man.
Yeah, yeah. It's a really good podcast, dude. Check it out. It's good. It's good shit. I've watched a bunch of his podcasts, and I really enjoy it. I'm a big Amon Ross St. Brown fan, anyways.
I
So,
think I think the St. Brown's podcast and I think the Kyle and Chris Long's podcast, those are like the two fastest growing player podcasts for sure.
oh really? I
Yeah,
haven't
those
seen the Longs yet. Maybe I should
oh
check them
really?
out.
Oh dude, Chris Long is the host. He started and I think it's awesome, man.
And
It's
Kyle
awesome.
comes on it.
Yeah. Kyle
Yeah,
Long goes on there,
they're
yeah.
like host and co-host, kind of like the Kelseys.
I don't think Kyle Long's on it consistently, but he is on there from time to time. I don't think he's a regular
Okay,
co-host on it though.
all
And
right,
he does it on, I don't know if it's Twitch or YouTube. He streams it on a video as well as doing like Spotify, like audio.
ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna give you one more service announcement. For the latecomers. Chat's a little low this week. Had a feeling with Thanksgiving, everyone's off on their things. But if you get a chance to watch us later, just want to remind you December 16th, Bears Vikings, get out to River Street Tavern. We're going to have a great time. Raffles, 50-50 raffle, autograph picture giveaways with those raffles. We're going to give something away every single quarter. I think the fourth quarter, we're going to do a big blowout with an autograph football. And I don't know which one of these pictures, but it's going to be a nice grand prize. And then we'll have the 50-50 raffle at the end of the ball game. We'll try and raise as much money as we can for Bears charities and the people that are less fortunate than us around this holiday season. So if you can, get out to 102 North River Street Tavern, December 16th. We will keep pumping this up on the show. We got some really awesome prizes. I mean, these are the picks, guys. The only difference with this pick right here, guys, is I actually have a blue auto and not a black one. So Dan Hampton, great picture. Looks like he's about to destroy a Packers quarterback. Got this thing framed and matted for y'all. Go Bears. Kevin Butler, one of my favorite Bears of all time. And then definitely one of my top 3 favorite Bears of all time, Lance Briggs running out of the tunnel. They're all certified by PSA or Beckett. I mean, these are legit prizes. We're not scamming y'all to try and make some money. It's going to be
And
a lot of fun.
we have a mechanical bear.
Yeah,
No, we
we're
know.
gonna get a mechanic.
I made
That,
that.
that would be awesome. That would
Wouldn't
be
it?
awesome.
Wouldn't it? Now I'm
We're
gonna
gonna
hold
do it.
myself to that when I start looking for a rental of a mechanical bear.
I was just gonna Google it and see if we can find it. That would be amazing. Um, we're the bare minimum guys because of the holiday. I don't think you guys are gonna do it. If it changes, they're gonna pop it up on the website. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, it's looking like it's not likely. I'm gonna be pumping out a whole lot of content though here, man. Some shorts and stuff. Um, I will probably do some. I'll be with half the cast here. I'll be with Kyle. I'll probably do some selfie holiday Bears game videos tomorrow. We'll see, man. We'll see
Oh,
what happens.
nice.
Yeah, I might go. I might go live for a little bit tomorrow.
Is Kyle? Oh, you guys
I,
are. Are
you
you
know,
guys getting?
Sean.
Are
You
you
know what
guys
I
getting
would
together for the
love.
football game?
You know what I. Well, we're going to my parents for lunch or dinner. Or what I mean, early dinner. So we'll
Which
be
will you be there for the football game or no?
for like the second half. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. But what we should do, man, what I think the four of us should do is live stream the four of us in your garage watching a Bears game.
Well, we're supposedly, hopefully, all going to be together on December 8th for the Bears and the Niners. I am having a little shindig here. There's going to be a couple of Niners fans here, so it should be fun. One of my best friends, Keith, he's from San Francisco. He's a big diehard San Francisco 49ers fan,
I'm
and
sorry for him.
one of our very own might be rooting for the San Francisco 49ers too. We'll leave his name out of this one.
Oh, you can say it's Dustin.
Dustin might be rooting for the Niners that day as well. But that's okay. You know what? I kind of planned for that day just because I knew there's a little bit of a rivalry. I thought it might be a little bit of a better game, but the Niners seasons kind of went in the wrong direction as well. So, but yeah,
I mean,
December 8th.
I think they're 5-6. They're all right. They're
Not the what did I have them at the beginning? I think I had them at 12 or 13 wins. Whoops. But I will tell you this, man. The way the Eagles are playing, the way their defense is playing, that Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, which rookies in the secondary don't normally play as good as these guys are playing. I mean, these guys are. I mean, Mitchell. Nobody can
well,
get anything completed
Cooper
against that kid.
Cooper DeJean is one of the most athletic people on earth, man.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I know that I say that right now the Lions are the best team in the NFL, quite possibly. But the Eagles are coming on strong, and I do believe right now, because I don't see any other competition in the NFC, I think it's going to be the Eagles and the Lions in the NFC Championship game. Get your popcorn ready because that's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be strength for
Dude,
strength.
I think I agree with you 100%. I think it's Eagles Lions, and in the AFC, it's about to get really interesting, man, because the Chiefs, Bills, Steelers, and I'm gonna say it, man, and our audience out here is gonna call me nuts.
You
By
gonna
the
say
end of this season,
Chargers?
no, by the end of the season, that Broncos team is going to be
Oh,
frightening.
they're really good, man.
They are pounding people like
Hmm.
36-3. I mean, they're destroying. I'll bet you this, Sean. Even the games they lost, where they weren't favored, like the Chiefs game
Yeah,
and week one against Seattle, they were, I believe the Seahawks were favored. Even the games they've lost, the Broncos, they've covered. I almost bet you the Broncos have covered the spread every single week this year.
yeah, they've been in every game. They actually are on a bye. It looks like. Are they on a bye this week? I'm trying to find their
No,
opponent.
no, not this week.
Who the hell are they?
I
Oh, they're
believe
Monday Night
they're
Football. They're Monday Night Football.
Browns. Yeah, they play the Browns. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been in every game. Well, if they're not blowing someone out, their losses are 23-16 to the Chargers, 13-6 to the Steelers, 26-20 to the Seahawks. The only game they got blown out, they got absolutely annihilated by the Ravens, 41-10, and then they lost to the Chiefs 14-16 in a game I thought they were actually going to win. But they'll get another crack at the Chiefs here in a couple of weeks down the road, and that'll be a fun matchup. Oh, it's actually they close out the season against the Chiefs. But no, I agree with you, man. They're 7-5. They're third in the AFC West right now. I mean, that AFC West is all of a sudden really difficult. There's three really good teams, and I'll say this. I thought the Chargers would be good, and I know they lost to Lamar Jackson on Monday night, but you guys were right at the beginning of the year. They're a little bit better than I thought they would
Oh,
be.
Sean, mark my words. That will be honestly, man, bet everything that will be the best division in football next season.
The AFC West.
Yes.
I
I like Dan Campbell, Matt LaFleur, and Kevin O'Connell are great, and they're young and they're innovative and they're on their way up. But Jim Harbaugh, Sean Payton, Andy
Andy Reid.
Reid, and whoever you decide, if whoever takes this job in Vegas, man, it's going to be somebody with some cow. It's going to be somebody who's worth something. That's a job. Obviously you want to be in Vegas, right? Who
Right.
does? But
Yeah.
it's going to be a good coach, and I think that team's a good coach away from being fixed. Really, I do. They need to add a
Raiders.
quarterback and add some talent, but they can be fixed pretty quickly. I don't think they're a decade away from being relevant.
No, they're actually a pretty, even though their record's 2-8, they're in a lot of ball games. I mean, 27-20 they lost, 15-20 they lost. I mean, they've been blown out a couple times, but I mean, I don't disagree with you at
Yeah,
all.
they're gonna go draft Cam Ward, and they're gonna hire I mean, Belichick. They're gonna hire some coach that just gets it done. I have faith that Vegas is gonna make one of the better coaching hires this offseason.
Do you? And I know you're a big, big fan of this guy, um, Cam Ward, and Quinn Ewers is kind of just, I don't know, man. He's fallen off a little bit. It's kind of turned around where Jackson Dart, Cam Ward are kind of starting to come out to be seen maybe the best two quarterbacks in this draft. I'm not a big Shador Sanders fan. I don't know
I
where you
think
stand with that, but
I think I don't know. I think this is a whole lot of I don't know, man. This draft class concerns me if I'm a team drafting this year
I
because I
agree.
think this is a whole lot of overhype. I Listen, man, I thought Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Bo Nix had the chance to be the best quarterbacks in this draft. I truthfully asked Dustin that. I texted him this multiple times. Those were the three guys I thought were the best. I thought Spencer Rattler was also had the potential to be a good quarterback, but those three I thought were the best. Those are the three who are starting for football teams and playing well. Drake May looks like he's gonna struggle to me, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think Cam Ward, I think Carson Beck, and I think I don't know, man. I want to say Jalen Milroe, but I'm not. I'm not 100% sold there either. I
Yeah, I'm not
think
sold on
I
Milrow.
think you got a lot of busts here, man. I don't love Ewers, Sean. I don't love Will Howard from Ohio State. I think he's going to be drafted high as well. Dylan Gabriel's way too small. He's going to be drafted
He
high.
is way too small.
He's going to be drafted high as well. I think Dart. I like Dart. I
I'll
do
give
like
you.
Dart. What I have, you know what, man, and Dart. I'm okay with Dart. From what I've seen in the way he's developed, Dart's impressed me.
He has, dude.
And then
He's
and then it's Carson Beck, right? Is the Georgia kid, the huge, the
Carson
six
Beck. Yep.
foot 6'5" or whatever he is.
Yeah, 6'4", 220. I'll tell you another guy that I like that doesn't get a lot of national pub, but I like Penn State's quarterback Drew Aller. His intangibles are pretty good.
Yeah, Drew Eller. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
I like.
actually I don't know if you guys. I texted you last year. He threw he threw his first. Well, I don't know. I don't know if me and you were in a group text yet. Maybe I group texted just Kyle and Dustin. He threw his first interception last year, which was his what, freshman year.
Yeah, he was a freshman
He
last year.
he threw his first interception in like week 10, dude.
Yep, yep. He's very efficient with the football, and he's humongous, dude. Dude, he's
I was
6'5",
sitting at a
240.
sports clips watching. I was waiting for a haircut, watching a football game, and I read like just threw his first. He threw a pick. I'm watching it. The guy throws an interception. I don't know anything about this guy, and I hear, and there it is, folks. Like there it is. There's his first interception of the year, and I was like, dude, it's like the ninth week of the college football season. It's like what the hell? Like
I will tell you this, man. Outside of college football, which is coming to an head, and don't forget this Saturday, guys, we got the Ohio State Buckeyes versus the Michigan Wolverines. Always a classic, 11 a.m. on ABC Football. Dude, check that. I haven't missed that game in probably 25 years. It's one of my favorite games on the schedule every single year, and I will definitely be watching Ohio State pound Michigan into the ground because I hate Michigan. Um, but we just finished, guys, and I mean this, and I know this is a football podcast and
yeah, hey
everything,
Sean.
but
He's sorry to cut you off. Last year as a freshman, he started the entire year. He threw 350 pass attempts. And the entire year he threw, wait, no, 350. That can't be right. Yeah, 350 pass
yeah.
attempts, one interception, and it didn't come, one interception all year, and it didn't come till week 8.
Let's
That's
see
the
how many
week.
does he have
That's
this
when
year.
I was sitting in sport clips watching that football. What's that?
How many does he have this year?
I think he has like 4.
Which is really really good. Still, it's not terrible. I'm trying to find Penn State right now.
He has 5. He
He has
has
five.
5. He has 5, but he had 3 in one game. So if you take that game out, he had 3 against USC in which and he also won the game in overtime. So
Yeah, I like Aller, man. They're 10-1. Penn State's always good. They're good defensive squad.
I mean, I'll be
It's
honest
going to
with
be
you, Sean.
interesting.
His statistics aren't much to write home about, but
No, because they don't let him pass a lot. It's a run first
yeah,
team in
yeah, that's what they were
Pennsylvania.
last year. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because he only had, there were some games where he only had like 10, 11 passes altogether. I do like him, though. What's going on, Bearski? Thanks for checking in, bro.
What's up,
Um,
Paul?
I do. Um, I do like Aller, and I think if he gets with a good coach, his size, his ability, because he can run, he can move too. I think he could be a serviceable, maybe better than that quarterback.
So,
But
Sean,
go ahead.
what's your holiday plan, man?
Actually,
I've
most of
only
my
been
family.
knowing you for a little while here now, like less than a year. What do you do on Thanksgiving? Happy
Uh,
Thanksgiving, Paul.
Happy Thanksgiving, Paul. I'm gonna be this year. We're actually doing Thanksgiving on Saturday. Because we have some relatives out of town and everyone is kind of spread out. So everyone's coming in, and we're actually having Thanksgiving on Saturday. So tomorrow, I am going to sit here and I'm going to watch the Bears and the Lions. Then my wife, my daughter, and I are going to make pizzas from scratch
Oh,
because
it's the best, dude. It's the
yep,
best.
I don't want to watch the Giants and the
I
Cowboys at all.
I do. No, making pizza from scratch is awesome.
Yeah,
Hey, I'm gonna send you a picture of something tonight when we're done here. I found a guy at a farmer's market, a local farmer's market,
yeah,
that makes he makes sauces, hot sauces
yeah,
primarily,
yeah,
but he
yeah.
makes it's almost like a hot sauce that's like marinara flavor. I don't know. I'm gonna send a picture of it. It's
Yeah, I want
incredible.
to check it out. I
It's
want to check it
incredible.
out.
It's so good. So good.
And I just before we check out, which we're gonna get out of here really soon, and hopefully I can get out of this damn chair. I just want to tell everyone football's coming to a close here. We're gonna obviously have the pros through January, but guys, we're gonna start this college basketball podcast. We already have one with a Kansas beat writer. Guys, if you guys just didn't see the Maui Invitational, once again, brilliant games, masterful storylines. It was an amazing tournament these past couple of days. Some people have hobbies. I watch college basketball. I love this shit so much. These games in Maui. I mean, for the love of Christ, you had Iowa State and UConn, 2 top 5 teams in the country in the losers bracket of this absolutely loaded field. And Auburn, the number 4 team in the country, just won it while we were on the air. So congratulations to Auburn. They're a really dangerous team. And I gotta say, last night, Duke and Kansas was a brilliantly beautifully played basketball game, especially because Rock Chalk Jayhawk won. Rock Chalk, what a great week for the Jayhawks, upsetting Colorado, making history, being the first team under 500 to beat three ranked teams in FBS history, and then we get to come 3 days later and kick Duke's ass in the first ever NIL game in Las Vegas. Rock Chalk, great week for us, man. I got to give them a clap. I'm a happy boy this week.
Yeah,
And
and to expand on that, guys, like Sean said, and I love college basketball as well. I'll be honest, I watch a lot more in March than I do over the course of the season. However, I do watch as much Illinois basketball as I possibly can. Northwestern Illinois. But guys, you're in the middle of this playing tournament now. The Bulls play a playing game or
yeah,
a not sorry, an in season tournament. The Bulls play a game on Friday. They're 2-1 right now. So we're going to be doing a lot of like me and Dustin will be hitting up what's going on with the Bulls. Sean and Kyle will obviously hammer out a lot of Cubs stuff, guys. We're big on the Cubs here. We will talk about the White Sox as much as we don't want to. We will keep you guys at least updated on the important things going on with the White Sox. The Blackhawks, Sean, I know you and Michael were putting some in the works.
yeah, we're gonna try to get some Blackhawks stuff. Honestly, I'm kind of more or less waiting for the Hawks to call up these rookies because honestly, this team sucks. So
Well, you knew they would, but
yeah, I knew they would, and they're not. There's not really much to talk about. I mean, Connor Bedard isn't even playing that well right now. I mean, it's and honestly, because of this whole new thing that they did with this stupid news channel with the sports channel, this dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, the most inept rollout of a news station or a sports station, Chicago Sports Channel, whatever it is. I can't even watch the damn Hawks. I can't watch the Bulls. So it's like unless I go to a bar, So that's honestly, guys, been one of the delays with this whole hockey thing is I'm watching every team except for the Blackhawks because I have ESPN Plus and I can watch Boston versus Minnesota and I can't even watch the Blackhawks versus anybody. It's crazy. But they do have coming up from Wrigley Field on New Year's Day the Winter Classic with the Blackhawks and the Blues. So we'll be able to see them. Connor Bedard versus St. Louis. That should be a fun one. We were at the first one at Wrigley versus Detroit a bunch of years back, so that was a lot of fun. I was also at the Soldier
I
Field
thought you didn't. I thought you didn't go freeze your nuts off for sports, man.
for that. For that, I did, and I also went to the next one at the Pittsburgh one where it snowed, and I got pictures of like 6 inches of snow on my hat. That was
That
a
was
lot of
the
fun. But no,
Oh yeah,
I
that was
don't.
the game. That was the Crosby. They won, right? Didn't Crosby win in like overtime or something?
Yep, I don't go out in cold. I don't. But some things you have to make a sacrifice for, and that was awesome. That was awesome being in the snow, being at Wrigley. I mean, certain things you just gotta suck it up and do. But right now, I can't even barely move half the time, so I won't be doing anything. I might crack a martini. I think the Bears are gonna make me drink tomorrow. So,
I'll definitely. I bought some. Me and the old lady bought some brandy and eggnog, man.
brandy and
Have you ever
eggnog.
you ever done that?
No,
Oh, it's so good.
I'll try it. I used
Oh,
to
it's so
I
good.
used to go to Bears games in the winter when it was cold. We used to slam blackberry brandy because it would keep you warm and you wouldn't feel it until you got
Yep.
warm
Yep.
again.
Yep.
So that used to be the drink of choice until I discovered whiskey.
Yeah. You put a little bit of brandy in a flask when you're like doing stuff outside in the cold.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing, dude. It's amazing what it does, and I'll tell you
Drink responsibly.
we went to the Grossman comeback game. It was a Sunday night game against the Atlanta Falcons, and it was like 15 below zero. I got out of the car like the abominable snowman. I was with my buddy Jay and Flushy and Tony, and I had so many layers on. And honestly, after that game, it was the last game I ever went to that was cold. I don't know how people do it. It's one of the coldest Bears games ever played. And it was absolutely freaking ridiculous that the beer was freezing. Like you got the beer and it was frozen before you took a sip. It was like, dude, This is ridiculous. You couldn't pee because you had 7 layers on. It was like, dude, it was ridiculous. So, but the Bears won in Grossman's comeback game. They scored a touchdown in the end zone that we were in to win it. So that was kind of cool. But, you know, so everybody from 4-Star Chicago Sports, we want to wish you guys the safest and happiest of holiday seasons.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving. It's rolling on the bottom of the screen for a little bit. We hope everyone has a great holiday. Hope to see you guys back here safe and sound on Monday for the Hallis Hall hangover. And we're talking about how the Bears made our holiday special and upset the Detroit Lions in Detroit. That would be amazing. I don't know if I would get the shit-eating grin off my face if that happened tomorrow. I don't know.
Son, you got a cash him or pass him coming?
I'll put them up on Saturday. I might sit down. The Bears game's early.
Yeah. You got 3 tomorrow, man. You got to throw something out there. And I think that Packers game's got a lot of good parlays in it, man.
The Packers game is
Packers Miami.
The one thing here I did look at
Packers Miami, because Miami in the last 2 weeks is playing really, really good. I think that Packers Miami game could turn into a firefight, man.
I will say this, and I will put this out because I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. But Tua's numbers in under 30 degrees are awful,
atrocious.
Yeah. Yes, that's the one thing that's kind of holding me back. But I'll tell you, Jalen Waddle and Jonnu Smith are on fire. And I'll tell you, I don't know. Like, I'm not understanding whether or not peppering Tyreek Hill with targets. I think that wrist injury that he has might be a little bit more serious than they're letting on, and they're using him more as a decoy. Because why is he getting 5 targets a game? Like, wouldn't you want the ball in that dude's hands? Like what the hell, man? So when Tua came back, I swear to God, I was like, oh, there goes Tyreek Hill. And I had to play him in fantasy in 3 leagues back-to-back weeks. And I just played him this past week, dude. 5 catches, 47 yards. I'm like, yeah, I survived Tyreek Hill. So, I've had an atrocious season. I've had an atrocious season in your league. I've had an atrocious season in my big money league. But in our friends league from high school, I have clinched the division. I have the best record in the league. I have to pat myself on the back because it's the only place I've done anything this year in fantasy. And my hockey team is now 2-4. I can't even win in hockey, for the love of Christ. So, and I'm usually pretty good as I sit here with a Stanley Cup. and you know what? To be honest, as I talk about that, it's hard to see on here, but my name's etched on 3 times in the years to the Stanley Cup. So I've held this baby at home with me. I love the Stanley Cup. Did you ever see this? This is our fantasy football trophy for our big league, dude. Kind of big and bulky, but we never changed. It's 10 boobs now. We got rid of 2 players that actually just didn't want to play fantasy football anymore. So, and I will tell you this, being in 5 leagues is so gosh darn tough that I think that it's kind of...
Yeah, no thank you, dude.
Yeah, I think it's kind of hampered me in leagues this year because I'm trying to pay attention to way too much. And it's like, God damn, dude. There's a couple times in your league where I thought I started a player, and I'm like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, oh, my God, he's on my bench. Son of a bitch. You know, it happened with Roshan like 2 weeks ago when he had those 2 touchdowns. I thought I put him in my lineup, and I didn't. I'm like, fuck, come on, man, get with it. You know,
I have lost 2 weeks in the league that I care most about this year by not starting the right guy, man. I had Taysom Hill was on my bench for that 60-point game.
Oh, mine too, dude. I did win high points that week, though, because Breece Hall, Josh Allen, who else tore it up for me that week? I scored 147 points, and if I would have put Taysom Hill in, I would have had like 179. So our structure is a little bit different than yours. We only have half-point PPR. So, scores. What was that, 2 weeks ago? Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago, I think. And, for me, for me, fantasy is the best, and I'm just a little pissed that that I'm not doing as well. But that week, Josh Allen 25, Brees Hall 27, Amon-Ra St. Brown had 37, and then sitting on my bench with 40.8 was Taysom Hill. But I still won. I won 142.9 to 98.3. So I crushed the dude I was playing that week. You want to hear something hilarious, Brandon? In this big money league, I played, and I had to go back and get these numbers. The 2 weeks that I played Saquon in this league, he's got 402 rushing yards against me, 4 touchdowns, 60 receiving yards, and 101 fantasy points. I'm like, dude, Saquon hates me, man.
Dude,
And that's from one.
he's making a legitimate case to be MVP in the NFL.
Oh my God, dude. Here, I said this to Kyle the other day, and I mean this wholeheartedly.
That's crazy though. Even to think a running back making a
Dude,
legitimate.
I said this to Kyle the other day, and I really do. I really do mean it. Like,
although Sean, if there's a running back worthy of MVP this
what's
year,
up, Darius?
it's not What's up, Darius? It's not Saquon Barkley. It's
You think
Derrick
it's
Henry.
Derrick Henry?
Yeah.
He actually has more rushing yards and I think one more touchdown than Derrick Henry right now.
No, he does not have one more touchdown than Derrick.
I think it's 15-14. I
Is
think
it
it is,
really?
dude.
Holy shit.
This was the first week. This week was the first week that Derrick Henry didn't have a touchdown.
Yeah, I know. And he had like 140 rushing yards or something.
Also, the first week I did not bet him in my anytime touchdown.
I didn't either. This was the first time I didn't, and I felt pretty good about that. I don't know why. The Chargers have only allowed 3 touchdowns prior to this week, man. But they did allow 2 touchdowns to running backs, just not Derrick Henry.
Just not Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Rushing stats for 2024. We have Barkley at 1392 and Derrick Henry at 1325. They've each had Barkley 223 attempts, Henry 221.
Oh.
Now it says Barkley has 10 touchdowns rushing and Derrick Henry has 13. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe he has 5 receiving touchdowns.
I'll be right back.
Okay. I'm going to double check this right now because Mr. Barkley has killed me this year and I love him, but he's got to stop doing this to me. So it's 12-13 in touchdowns. Barkley is down 1 touchdown. That's what it was. I was incorrect on that. Derrick Henry, 14 20-plus yard runs. Barkley, 12. 40-plus yard runs, 6 for Barkley, 3 for Henry. Henry's long run of the year, 87 yards, 72 for Barkley. It's really, really close, man. Derrick Henry's actually fumbled 3 times. Saquon Barkley only once. So it's really, really close when it comes to these two. And I mean, I said this. Kyle and I had this discussion the other day. And I know if you take Derrick Henry off of Baltimore, I don't think Baltimore is the same football team, and they're going to be as good. But this offense runs in Philadelphia through Saquon Barkley. So with Saquon, if the Eagles lose him, I don't know that this offense would be as explosive. And I know you can say that with any great stud player in the NFL. If they lose them, they're not going to be the same. Look at Houston. No Nico Collins, no Stephon Diggs. The offensive line is beat up. They're really struggling as an offensive unit, and everyone's trying to figure out what the hell's going on there in the great state of Texas with the Houston Texans. I don't believe CJ Stroud's bad. I believe the injuries mount, and you're just like in Chicago. If the offensive line can't protect you, you're going to not play as efficiently. And I just think that's what's happening in Houston. I still think CJ Stroud's a stud. I still think he'll be fine next year. I will give you a little nugget, though, on CJ Stroud that I found very interesting. Over the past, I think it was 4 or 5 weeks since what's his name? Bryce Young has been put back in place as the quarterback in Carolina. He has averaging 13.9 fantasy points. CJ Stroud, like 13.5. That's crazy. So,
They drafted the wrong guy.
yeah. But again, like I just said, Brandon, I don't think that CJ Stroud's has turned into this bad guy. I think their offensive line is beat up and it's
Yeah.
atrocious.
I'm
I
just
think the
kidding.
Nico
Yeah.
Collins missing was a big problem. Darius says the Ravens were in the AFC title game last year without Henry. Eagles were one and done in the playoffs. I agree, Darius. So let me ask you this, Darius. You think that if Derrick Henry got hurt, this Ravens team could make it back to the AFC Championship? That's what I'm getting here. Do you think the Eagles could make it to the NFC Championship without Saquon Barkley? I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the Eagles. I mean, their defense is really, really stout. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think, Brandon? Do you think if Saquon got hurt, they could still have the same impact? That the Eagles could rush out to the NFC title game against probably Detroit? I honestly don't see a team in the NFC that's upsetting these
Yeah,
guys,
I
so I'm
think.
foreshadowing here.
Yeah, so a guy who's, so I work at, as you know, man, I manage a shipping receiving department. A driver who came today had an Eagles sweatshirt on. No, sorry, this was yesterday. And I asked him, do you actually watch football? Are you just one of those guys that wears the stuff, or do you watch? And he's like, no, I love them. I love the team. And I was talking to him today, and I said, I told a buddy before the season started, I thought Saquon Barkley was the number one pick in fantasy once he was signed by the Eagles. And he's like, why do you say that? And I said, because no matter who the hell runs for the Eagles, they succeed. But the Eagles have never invested in actually having like a stud at the position. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Miles Sanders had 1,000 yards 2 years ago. DeAndre Swift had 1,000 yards last year,
Yeah,
and Saquon Barkley has 1,000 yards this year. So no, Sean, I think without Saquon Barkley, the Eagles are still a really good football team. And I think this, man, we want to compare
I
Eagles
agree,
to
Darius.
Ravens. If you want to compare the Eagles to Ravens in any way, shape, or form, Jalen Hurts is starting to do some Lamar Jackson kind of stuff here, man. I mean, I know he was mobile when he started as the
Yep,
Eagles quarterback early in his career. Now he's like rushing 2 touchdowns a game, dude. I mean, I have this guy in fantasy, and he's having 25-point weeks without throwing touchdowns.
yeah.
And I'm like, I continue to ask myself, like, I go to the box score and I see like, passing stats, or at the bottom, and I see like no passing touchdowns. He's got like 212 yards passing, no touchdowns, but he's got like 32 points in fantasy. I'm like, what the hell? He's got like 3 rushing touchdowns. I'm like, oh my god, bro.
I
So
will
if you
tell you
lose
this.
Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts is still going to run the ball.
Yeah, yeah. I think that the Eagles, and I said this earlier in the year, I thought the Eagles were going to be the team they finished off as last year coming into this year because I didn't feel like they got any better. But I
Well,
mean,
I thought they had egregiously bad defensive coordinators,
yes,
and I thought they had a really weak secondary. And Sean, has the team ever done a better job at addressing their weaknesses over
right,
one offseason? Like
right.
defensive coordinator gone, secondary replaced,
Hmm.
team good. You know what I mean? Like what it didn't, and the relationship between Hertz and Sirianni was weird. That need to get better for sure.
Yep. And I'll tell you this, dude. The Philadelphia secondary has allowed the least receiving yards to perimeter and slot receivers, respectively. So, I mean, that defense has really turned it on, man. The running game helps Hurts. Yeah,
Yeah,
it does
and you
because
have a cornerback that can play strong safety, or free safety, corner,
hmm
nickel. Cooper DeJean can play anywhere you want to put him in,
yeah, he's really good, man. He's
anywhere.
really good. That
Well, and he's
Quinion
just
Mitchell is,
really, really, really athletic. And you
yeah,
can put him at nickel, you can put him at strong safety, free safety, you can put him wherever you want to put him. I think I'm pretty sure, man, he was the only 4 year, because he played senior year, right?
yep,
Yeah, it was. I can't remember. I think he was the only 4 year player to start a game at every position in the secondary in his college career. he had started a game at free safety, strong safety, nickel, and outside.
The old
Because the dude is just, you just want him wherever their best player in college, man. I mean, did you watch him at Iowa? It was wherever the best opposing receiver was, that's where
that's where he
Cooper
was.
played. You know what I mean? Like, if it was a guy who beat you over the top, he'd play a lot of safety. If it was a guy who beat you inside, he'd play nickel. If it was a guy that beat you on the edge, he'd play corner. So, and the Eagles surprised me, man. They made him just a straight corner. I thought he was going to be a safety.
I agree, Darius. It was their weakness last year, and like Brandon just said, they flipped that switch this offseason, and holy crap, are they good? I'm going to go on record, and I'm going to say this because he's been getting close, and outside of any Chicago Bear, he's my favorite player in the NFL. The way they're playing through 11 weeks, they surprised me a little bit. The defense has been a little bit better than I thought. They're also going to get some pieces back, like a Matt Milano. I think it's the year that Josh Allen breaks through and the Buffalo Bills return to the Super Bowl.
You want to know something weird, Sean? Well, I'm sorry. We'll dive right back into what you're saying because the Bills
Oh,
are. Let's talk the Bills all day. I love the Bills. I think my favorite player in the NFL, like if we're excluding Bears,
yeah.
is Cortland Sutton.
Really?
I do, man. And why I say this real quick is because he was touted during really bad quarterback years in Denver. He was touted as like a number two overall, or a number two wide receiver. And this guy just continues to just do things that number one receivers on most teams don't do. And he's clearly an NFL number one receiver, not just Denver's number one. He is a number one receiver in the NFL, and he's just 2 years straight now having an incredible season, man. I
Yeah.
mean, he's just this player. I love this player, man.
He is really, really good, man.
He's incredible. He really is. So let me just real quick. These are his fantasy stats. Okay,
Yeah, he's been on fire, dude.
this
I
is
had him
this is
last
with
year.
I have him in every league this season. I picked him up in the middle of last season. He exploded for me. I drafted him in every league. I have him in every league that I'm in this year. Listen to this though. Rookie quarterback. Week 1, 7 points. Week 2, 3 points. Okay. Rookie quarterback. 13, 15, 5, 15. Okay. Then he drops a zero burger, and it was weird. And even the people who
Yeah,
write the
that was
bio,
I remember
even
that.
even the people who write the bios were like, "This, we
Hell,
no." Honestly, though, man, the people who wrote the bios were like, "We think this is going to spring this dude into like action." Since the zero, 19, 25, 19, 14, 29, and one of those games he threw a touchdown. This
yeah,
dude is just one of the funnest players. And the end. Did you see the touchdown this week against the Raiders?
he did.
The toe tapper as he fell in the back of the end zone.
He did. It was a
I
sensational
mean,
catch.
he's this guy. And then did you see the one last year that who was their quarterback last year, man? Russell Wilson threw to him
They had
where
Russell, yeah.
he was being like tackled basically in the end zone on like a 50-yard bomb, and he reached his one arm out behind the defender's back and drew the ball
Brought
in.
in.
Like this guy is just not noticed enough.
Yeah. I
And I
agree.
don't know. And Sean, honestly, in a fantasy draft next year, he should be like a second round pick. He
I
really
agree
should.
because I think in our big money league, I think he was after the 8th round.
Yeah,
Like,
it's ridiculous.
yeah,
He's been one of the biggest producers in fantasy at the wide receiver position this year. It's crazy. Right now, his overall rank is 46 of all the players in the NFL.
really? And that's
46.
he might be a little bit better than that.
He has 170 fantasy points.
What does who's the leading receiver fantasy? Is it
It's Jamar Chase by a lot.
Jamar Chase? Yeah, he's like
Yeah.
at 250, over 250.
He's the only player in the top 10 that's not a quarterback.
Yeah, I'm looking right now where he was drafted in our big money league, and I'm into the 6th round, and I don't see Cortland Sutton still. Into the 7th round, I don't see him see there. Nope. 8th round. Nope. 9th round.
No, he's not. He's not. He's not highly
he,
touted, man.
he was drafted
And
in the
think about this.
fifth.
He's
He was drafted in the
46,
10th round, 5th pick overall, dude.
and he's 46 overall right now. So he right now is,
He's a
if
5th
you
round
place
pick.
that, he's the third round, right?
Yeah.
Or no, not
Well, at
third round.
46, he'd be mid fourth.
The fourth, yeah,
But,
46. Yeah, sorry.
but watching him, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. Like, this guy is very, very underrated. And that's kind of why I love Josh Allen at the same kind of this Wyoming product that after his first 2 years, I love this guy's a bust. This guy's a bust. But honestly, I don't know if anybody plays with this. They're hard on their
And do
sleeve.
you remember that draft, man? That draft was loaded with quarterbacks, and Josh
Yeah.
Allen was so overlooked
Yeah.
in that draft. I think Rosen even got more attention than wasn't it? Wasn't Drew Rosen in that draft?
Yeah. And he got cut, or he got fired the next year from uh, they drafted over him. Is what I'm saying. The next year, the exact next year. Uh, why can't I think of his fucking name? I'm sorry. My brain's a little scrambled. Baker Mayfield was the first quarterback. I just looked it up. He was the 7th quarterback taken, or 7th overall. He went after Sam Darnold. And so when Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold,
Josh
Josh
Allen,
Allen,
Drew
uh,
Rosen,
and Josh Rosen was
or
the
Josh
10th
Rosen
quarterback taken.
was the what?
The 10th, or 10th
Yeah,
quarterback, the 10th overall pick, excuse
yeah.
me.
He was the fourth quarterback taken. Yeah.
Yes. And he was fired the next year, and they drafted Kyler Murray, I'm pretty sure.
Well, yeah, he was cut.
Yeah. And here, this is what I've always went back to when I say about Bears GMs. There's a GM in Arizona that took this guy 10th overall, said, holy crap, I made a huge mistake. And we're like, this guy's gone. That is a GM move right there. That blew my mind. The 10th overall pick from the previous draft, and they're taking Kyler Murray the next freaking year. Like, that's craziness, man.
But Sean, that's kind of my point when I ask you, would you feel better about Ryan Poles or hiring your next head coach if he fires this head coach now? Because that's him kind of saying, "Hey, it's the same thing as as Josh Rosen pick, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like, hey, I messed up.
correct.
I doubled down
Correct,
on
Jerry.
Flus. I doubled down on Flus, not but 3 months ago. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Four,
And
sorry, like 4 months ago. And you know what? I made a mistake, and it's not helping this team win football games, and he's gone. If Ryan Poles did that, I'd be like, okay, this guy clearly understands that winning is more important than tradition here in Chicago. You know what I mean?
if the Bears lose this game like 41-17, this guy better be on unplayed on Friday. That's all I gotta say. I just the errors.
Yeah, if they get if well, let's say they Sean, let's say they lose this game 41-32. Let's say the Bears offense. Let's say he's not a scapegoat. Let's say he fired Shane Waldron because the Bears weren't scoring points. Now Thomas Brown is evolving this offense every week. Let's say he scores 30 points this week and the Bears lose. You gotta fire Flus, don't you?
Yeah.
You have to, because now you're losing games on defense.
And I mean, he already has since the bye. I mean, those numbers are astronomical that the Bears defense
Yeah,
is giving
Minnesota
up.
had 450 yards of ball. Like,
Yeah.
that's sick,
It's
man.
like,
That makes me sick. The
who,
Bears,
who put that 500 burger on the Bears? Was that
this this Bears offense or defense in our entire lifetime, guys, just doesn't do stuff like that.
No, it's almost turning into, I hate to say this name because this guy was the biggest turd defensively. It was 481. It was Washington. There's no 500 burgers with 481. Mel Tucker, a Mel Tucker type defense. I mean, dude, again, these numbers since the bye 481, 350, 328, 366, and 452 to Minnesota last week. Like, Jesus, dude, you came into the house, you hung your hat on my defense, and now what are you hanging? Dude, you suck, man. He really has no job here if his defense is failing. And I do think the Lions are going to put up yards. I mean, let's not get it twisted. They're gonna
Well,
probably be
and
around that
let's
450 mark.
also not act like I said, man. The defense failing on top of the locker room. let's not act like this locker room isn't gone. It's gone.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
people, I don't know why, man. I think when you're a fan base inside it, it's harder to see. Because I could see that, like Doug Peterson lost the Jaguars team a while ago.
Yeah.
This fan base hasn't yet seen this, but like, Sean, is there a team that's more publicly outspoken in the media about their play calling and coaching than the Bears players? These guys, every
Not
chance
that
they
I've
get,
seen.
when a microphone's in front of them and a camera's in front of them, like, yeah, we got to execute, but we don't call plays. I mean, when you got to slide that in there at the end, that's for a reason. You know
You
what I
know,
mean?
the most damning thing for me was when DJ Mark came out and were like, "Yeah, in practice we make mistakes, we don't go back and correct them, we just move on." I'm like,
Or when Kevin
"What are you
Byard
doing?"
said Kevin Byard said the secondary pleaded with our head coach to play press in Washington before the Hail Mary on the 13-yard pass. Like, we asked the coach, can we go out there and play these guys like we do?
And
Can we press them? I
constantly
mean,
not taking accountability. I
why
mean,
would
him.
you? Here's another thing, man. You know why this guy's lost the locker room? Because when a player comes up to you and says, "Hey, we're good at our job. Can we play press, man?" This you got Terry McLaurin, Noah Brown. You know, what I mean, this is not a good receiving. Let us play press. Let us play these guys. Don't Nobody's going to get behind us. Don't worry. There's nobody on this receiving core you got to worry about. That's going to get
Right.
behind us. And Flu said, "No, we're going to play off." What does that say to your players, man?
Yeah.
I don't trust you.
And
That's Eberflus. If Kevin Byard really did walk up to him and say, "Can we press here?" and he said, "We're going to play off," that is Flus. That's Byard saying, "Do you trust us?" And that's Flus saying, "No."
nope.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
Of course, you lost the locker room. Of course, you lost the locker room. You don't trust your guys to do the job that they've been doing for you all year long.
And
They
I
had
think
been
this.
stopping teams time and time again. Yeah, and then you got this guy who's celebrating his 1 yard rushing touchdown. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it's time. I think it's time after this Detroit game, especially if it's a humiliation, that to let Thomas Brown take the full reins.
well,
And
it's
like you
only
said
time
earlier,
after this Detroit game because it's time. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And it doesn't make
well,
sense to do it.
it was
Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense to do it today. You know what they should have done,
it was
Sean?
time
They,
November 3rd.
they should have done Flus a favor. They should have fired him after Minnesota so they could spend Thanksgiving with his family. That's what they should have done. They should have been considerate and said, "You know what, man? You spend Thanksgiving with the fam. Thomas Brown will coach this team on Thursday. You don't
He
worry
knows what's
about
going
that."
on. I
Yeah.
I'm I
What's
am.
up, Dano?
Hey, what's up, Dano? I didn't see you pop in there, man. What's going on, dude? Hey, for you, buddy, I'm gonna have those picks out. Take both running backs overs and anytime touchdowns on Detroit. I'm taking both rushing overs, and I'm
Take
gonna take.
take whatever Laporta's over under is gonna be super low. It's gonna
Hold
be
on,
like
I'm gonna go in
30.
here right now.
It's gonna
Take a
be
look.
like 38 yards. Take Laporta's over.
We're gonna look right now at what we got here for Detroit and the Bears here. Football. Where's the NFL at? There it is. NFL Bears Detroit kicking off our holiday celebration. We have for rushing props. Oh my god. These are high, boys. But I think both obtainable. 73 and a half for Gibbs and 53 and a half for Montgomery. If you add those together, that's about what the Chicago Bears are giving up per game on the ground. So, and Montgomery, I believe, is going to play from his injury that he sustained this week. I believe he is not out because the only players on the injury report for the Lions are Raymond, who was placed on IR, Carlton Davis, and Taylor Decker. And I'll say this again, I said it earlier, those are a couple of pretty big names for these guys to be missing. So, for the Lions to be missing, Carlton Davis has been kind of a gem for them. So,
What,
let's
what
see.
was what was what was Laporta's over?
Laporta is at receiving. I will
It's
tell
got
you this.
it's got to be low. He's had a bad year, man. He's had a really bad year. Really, really, really bad year.
He's at about 38. I'm trying to
Yeah,
get to it.
I
He's
said
at
38.
he is at where is he? View more. 37 and a half.
I said 38, bro.
Yeah.
Take that. Dano, take that bet all day. I'll give him 67 yards and a touchdown in this football game. Take,
You know
take
another
that.
sneaky,
Take that bet.
another.
And you know what? 67 yards for a good tight end against the Bears is not a good day. We are seeing tight ends shred this football team. They're
Yeah.
going to focus on Amon Ra. Jalen Johnson's going to focus on Amon Ra. And these the guys, Sean, before we hang this up, because we're at 2 hours here,
Yeah.
are the Bears linebackers just not that good as we thought they were? They don't look good, man.
I,
They don't look good.
you know,
They don't look like they can
Tremaine Edwards
blitz.
was
They
really
don't look
good at
like
Buffalo.
they don't get home on blitzes. They don't defend tight ends, so they can't cover. They don't stop the run because running backs are jamming it down our throat. What the hell do these two? What do Edmonds and Edwards do? What do they do well?
Edwards was a tackling machine. Edmonds has been disappointing on every level. I
We
mean,
get
there's
the
been
ball run
multiple
down our
games.
throat. We get the ball run down our throat. Tight ends catch the ball all over us.
Um,
These linebackers are not doing the things that linebackers in Chicago typically. Roquan Smith right now would not be allowing 130 yards rushing per game, dude. That number would be like 106 if Roquan Smith was the middle linebacker on the football team. I can honestly, truthfully, firmly say that.
well,
That number
TJ
would be like 20 yards less.
Edwards leads the team in tackles. He's got
Well, he
50
should.
solo.
He should.
50
That's
solo.
the position he plays on this cover 2-4-3. He's the guy that gets the most
He's the guy.
attention.
Yep. And then Tremaine Edmonds is at 69, which is about 18 less. But they both have one sack and one forced fumble on the year. Kevin Byard's actually second on the team at 84 tackles. And then you got Kyler Gordon down at 46. And Kyler Gordon probably would have been up a little bit higher because he plays all over the place if he didn't miss those games that he missed. Tyreek
I
Stevenson at 47. Ugh.
I don't love either of these linebackers
I
after
like
this
TJ Edwards.
halfway through
I
this year,
think
man.
we need to find a Brian Urlacher type player to come in at that position and
Yeah,
correct
we had
Daniel.
we had one, Sean. We had one.
I don't know, man. Roquan Smith is not having a great year, and he's also statistically one of the worst cover linebackers in the league. He's getting torched.
Is he worse than Edmonds?
I'm gonna look up Roquan Smith's PFF
Because
right now.
Edmonds is pretty much not even relevant in coverage.
What the hell?
Am I wrong?
Oh no, 100%, 100%. These linebackers
Hawkins
have not been.
Hawkinson could have gone for two. By the way,
Oh my god!
guess by the
Yeah,
way, guess
Roquan
what bet
Smith. Roquan
guess what
Smith. The league average on PFF is 60. His pass rush is 57. His coverage is 52. He's an overall 61, and his run defense is 77. So he's barely above league average at 61.8.
yeah, he was never a pass rusher. He had a few sacks in Chicago, but oh man, I forget where I was going with what I was about to say.
I'm looking up TJ Edwards right now. TJ Edwards is exactly the same grade, 61.9. And his numbers are almost identical to Roquan Smith. I'm really nervous about Tremaine Edmonds because I think he's going to be bad.
Yeah, he's not
Oh my god, ugh.
he's not good, man. He's not.
Dude!
I
League
don't
average is 60, dude. He's an overall 55.6.
he's not a good
His
I don't know,
coverage
man.
grade is a 53, dude. A
Yeah.
53. That's awful.
Hey, yo, this is what I was gonna say. All of my I made like 7 parlays last weekend, guys. The
Yeah.
one bet that I put in all of them was TJ Hawkinson's yards, and he smashed it.
Oh.
It was like 63. No, it wasn't. It wasn't even. It was like 57, and he got like 108. So moving forward, if a quality tight end is playing the Bears, just take the numbers, man. Take
Yeah,
take
they've been.
over. Take over on
I'm
everything.
looking them up right now. Oh my God, NFL defensive rankings.
Against tight ends.
Yeah, the Cardinals are atrociously the worst. Atrociously, dude. Wow.
Panthers are down there too.
Why don't they have this? Let's see, receiving yards. The Chiefs, and I've been saying this, guys, betting all year. Bet your guys against the Chiefs. The Chiefs, through 12 weeks, have given up 922 yards to tight ends, dude.
Hey, you want to hear something
100
funny?
receptions,
You know
dude.
what? You know what other bet I put on all of my bets this weekend, guys? Travis Kelsey catches the touchdown because the Panthers have allowed a touchdown to a tight end the last like 6 weeks consecutive, and
Yeah,
even one or two teams they allowed both tight ends to catch a touchdown. Yeah, they allowed Noah Gray to catch two of them,
two of them.
and Kelsey didn't catch one of them.
You know what was funny? I actually did
So
not
that
think.
that killed me. That killed me. It was in all my bets. I was like, Kelsey's catching a touchdown. This team allows every single tight end they play to catch a touchdown. He's catching a touchdown. And
I agree, Dano. I agree 100%, man. And we were talking about this, Dano. I think not this Monday, but last Monday about the three technique and between three technique and defensive end and so on and so forth. And if they change the defense, which one becomes more important? But there was half on the fence saying that three tech is still important in every defense, which I don't disagree with. But you know, I'm I'm at this point right now, and we're going to put a bow on this thing here pretty quickly. Um, but I'm at this point. I know everyone said last year was the most important draft and offseason for the Bears. I beg to differ because this year, with the picks that they have on the top half of this draft, 75 million under the cap, and this team could be a playoff team and a very good football team if you add some quality depth in case of injuries and you hit on this draft, a la the Steelers did, the Eagles did last year. I think this can be a really good football team. I'm 50-50, and if I believe that Ryan Poles is the guy that can pull that off for the Chicago Bears, because if we again go through his drafts, they haven't been good. A lot of his drafted players are not here anymore, especially those third and fourth round picks that are critical. I love the punter, but in that fourth round again, Mason McCormick was drafted. He's a rookie starting for the Steelers. He's allowed 0 sacks through 12 weeks of the NFL season. There was other needs. I don't care that other teams are going to take this punter in the fourth round. It wasn't the need that's going to take the Bears to the next level. So I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to say we're going to be with Poles. Poles is going nowhere. I'm pretty confident in that. If he gets fired, I will be shocked beyond belief. I would be saying, okay, and I would probably applaud them and say, hey, he made some mistakes, some critical mistakes they couldn't overlook. One of them happened almost 12 months ago in retaining Matt Eberflus, probably the most egregious
Sean,
alignment.
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. At this juncture of the process, and you know what process I mean.
Yeah,
Quarterback coach, GM, quarterback coach, GM, GM, quarterback coach, GM, coach, quarterback. Are you comfortable with Kevin Warren hiring a GM at this in this part of Caleb Williams' process?
see,
Kevin Warren's never done anything close to this, man.
I'm
This
just
would
going
be a
to,
very new process for both us and him as
for
fans.
me, Kevin Warren as the president of the Bears, to me,
Do you
is
even
more of
believe Kevin Warren will take enough initiative to hire the head coach or the GM?
I
Or will George just do it for him because
well,
he's so focused on.
I look at Kevin Warren as a guy, as like a business guy, like kind of like a politician. I don't know that he's should be the president of the Chicago Bears. I don't have anything against him. I don't know him that well. Obviously, he's not
Well, I
taking
think
too
no, he knows, man. He's able to identify.
much.
Well,
Identify.
I'll say this. You just called him a businessman. He's able to at least identify a guy who can handle cap for
Sure.
sure. Yeah,
And that's a strong
and
suit of
Ryan
Ryan.
Poles is doing a pretty good job of that, to be honest.
I 100% think that was the best thing that this guy has ever done for the Bears. I understand he drafted Caleb Williams and he got the trade with
No, yeah,
Carolina and all that.
Caleb Williams the best thing he's done.
But I'm going to pose this question to you right
I'll
now.
say this: his cap is his greatest strength. His
Correct.
money management is his
But
greatest strength.
let me ask you this about Ryan Poles, because for me, you couldn't go into the season with Carolina predicting that they would be the worst team in the league and you would end up with the number 1 overall pick. Does Ryan Poles still look as attractive to you if, say, Carolina drafted C.J. Stroud and C.J. Stroud led them to 6-7 victories and the Bears wound up with the 7th pick in the draft last year, not the first overall pick? Everyone's not talking about how great Ryan Poles is. To me, it was more luck that he fell into the number 1 pick and picked the generational quarterback that everybody in the world said.
Well, yeah, but hold on, Sean. There's a couple of things I want to pluck out of this. First off, he did pick Caleb Williams, and I'm going to say this, and I've been saying it. I've been saying it to you. I've been saying it to Kyle. I've been saying it to Dustin. I'm going to say it again. Caleb Williams is not only the best quarterback in this class out of Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix and Drake May. I think he's better than C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young and all those guys from last year too. I think Caleb Williams is better than all those guys. But I do think this. If you think that Poles is given too much credit for the luck that he had in getting the first overall pick, if you think he had the, I don't know, would you say, 7th pick in the draft?
Yeah, if he had the 7th pick instead of the first.
That probably means that Justin Fields is the quarterback of this football team, and it probably means they're not very good. I'm sorry, guys. It's just, dude, I'm not being a dick. I'm sorry. I'm being honest. No, if Justin Fields is 4-7, we're probably not even 4-7. We're probably like 2 and something. Because the coaches are bad. Justin Fields is not a good product of bad coaches. Caleb Williams can be a good quarterback no matter who's coaching him. Justin Fields cannot. So I'll say this. Ryan Poles would be unsuccessful because of Ryan Pace's quarterback. But
that's fair.
Ryan Poles chose to retain Eberflus, so it still all comes down to Ryan Poles, for sure.
And you know, I guess if he did fall into that, he could have ended up with a Bo Nix. I forgot where Bo Nix was drafted in
12th, I believe.
12th. So you could have had a chance at Bo Nix. So I'm just looking back at the draft right now. That 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th pick. Obviously, we know Rome at 9, but Michael Penix went at 8. C.J. Latham at 7. Malik Neighbors at 6. I'm always going to be the guy on the opposite side.
Well, truthfully, Sean, J.J. McCarthy was probably the only guy that J.J. McCarthy or Bo Nix were the only 2 guys you had a shot at, because if the Panthers won 6-7 games, they're the 10th pick, the 9th or 10th pick.
Yeah. So, and then again, I'm just saying, if that were to happen, everyone might be looking at Ryan Poles a lot different. I can look at it one way and say, hey man, you guys can all be happy he made this trade and it worked out great for him. He fell up with the number 1 overall pick. I'm just saying, where is the Chicago Bears?
Well, he also ended up with the number 1 receiver.
He did. Well, we'll see. I still think Malik Neighbors and if they ever figure out that they should be.
I don't mean Roman Denze. I mean during the trade, he ended up with DJ Moore.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, and he's strong arm.
Which Sean was the best player besides Brian Burns on the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I was hoping he was going to get Brian Burns in that deal. He should have strong armed him for Burns and Moore.
Yeah, I would have said keep your 2 second-rounders, give us the 2 first-rounders, and give us Moore and Burns.
And what's Carolina's record this year? They got what, 2 wins? 3 wins?
3.
3. So we're going to be getting a pretty high second-round pick at the end of this thing, and I don't think the Panthers have.
Oh, it's going to be a top 10 second-rounder.
I don't know that the Panthers are going to win. They got the Bucks, the Eagles. They might beat the Cowboys. The Cardinals, the Bucks, and the Falcons left. That's going to be. I mean, if they might finish with 4 wins this year. Is that Cowboys team with Cooper Rush? God, I wish they could flex a game on Thanksgiving, dude, because I have zero interest in that Giants freaking. It's not Tommy DeVito. It's going to be Drew Lock versus Cooper Rush. Woo! not excited about it.
Yeah, and
Oh,
you know what, man? If if Matt Eberflus wasn't the coach of this football team, this Bears Lions game would have been that's got to be the premier. You know, what I mean, that's got to be been the late night. Like, could you imagine if this team was winning football games and still hanging around their division, playing the Lions on Thanksgiving? That's
oh,
the game. That's the game
yeah.
everybody's gonna want to watch.
And you want to
Actually,
know the truth?
to be honest with you, between Packers, Dolphins, Cowboys, and Giants, I guarantee you, Sean, the game, the g- the general fan base, not the base, not a fan base of any of these teams in particular, but the general fan base wants to watch is the Bears Lions.
Right.
You want to
No,
watch
I
Caleb
agree.
Williams. You want to watch Caleb Williams, and you want to watch this Lions offenses. I mean, it's pretty remarkable, man. I mean, comparable to literally none. They're doing things like you saw Tom Brady throw 59 touchdown passes and 48 of them or whatever to Randy Moss. You know what I mean? You remember that year?
Yeah.
You saw
Yeah.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. This Lions team is the most balanced offense I've probably ever.
Mhm.
It's unreal. They have two running backs that are just as good as the guys catching the ball, and it always works. And you know what's funny, man? I bet Jameer Gibbs a lot or Dave Montgomery a lot in my parlays, and by like quarter three, I'm always like, man, he's not gonna get it. He's like 18 yards short, and then he beats it by like 106, and I'm like, okay, like what the did he bust out like a 90 yarder? Like what the hell? But like they do it, they always do it. So
You know,
this
I'm
is
actually
this is this is this is just too much. It's too much for the Bears defense.
I just pulled up the game from last year in Detroit. Wow, this was a crazy yeah, I can't talk. Crazy game script. They only rushed the ball 22 times. Montgomery had a 6.33 average.
Yeah,
Gibbs a
remember
4.
last year they didn't use Gibbs last year. Remember?
Yeah, he only had 8 carries. He had 8 carries for 36 yards.
Yeah.
They both
So
had touchdowns
so
though.
Sean, what does that say to you about? Does that concern you about Ben Johnson? He didn't use Gibbs at all last year. He barely used him. Barely. I mean,
Yeah, they
like
had
I'm
a
gonna
lot.
say Gibbs played 20% of their snaps last year
Yeah, but you know what? Sometimes that happens with rookies because
with a top five pick.
when you look at yeah, I thought the usage was a little different. When did they play though? When was the date on this game? Oh, November 19th. So it was right around this date.
It
It
was
was right
late.
around this
It was
date.
late in the season.
Yeah, yeah. And the Bears hung in that game, dude. It was 31-26. Jared Goff didn't have that great of a game either. 236, two passing touchdowns. That's the game he threw the 3 picks in. He was sacked twice.
And he had a fumble.
Yeah, the fumbles aren't on the stat sheet.
I think he turned the ball over four times, Jared Goff.
That's insane that the Bears didn't win that game.
Is
And
it
it was the
though?
exact opposite in Chicago.
Is it
So I
Sean? Is it
guess it's not under this guy.
is it used to be. It used to be. It's not any now if you have a 90% chance of winning the game, you can almost bet you're gonna win. Actually, man, from
That's a
moving
great live
forward,
bet.
Sean, moving forward, if the Bears hit 90% win rate on anything, I'm betting against them. That is my that's my get rich quick scheme. I'm betting 600 hours on a 90% win rate. That's what I'm doing. And it's gonna be like a plus 10,000 payout. You know what I mean?
Well, I was going to say that 31-26 game, wasn't that the game that the Bears 90% chance to win and they
Yeah.
lost?
Yeah, that was the
Yes.
game they had the big lead in the fourth.
Yep. I'm
That was the
actually
one
going to look
where
back.
Fields fumbled in the fourth quarter against
Yep.
Detroit. Yeah.
We gave up 17 points let's see, in the last 6 minutes of that game. I'm
And
looking at it right now.
Fields had that weird fumble where he like received the snap but just kind of dropped the ball. You remember that? He
Actually,
dropped the ball in the pocket. It was weird. It was
yes,
like he
it
just
was
kind
the
of dropped. He
14th.
just kind of dropped the ball.
It was
Like nothing really
14:38 to
happened.
go in the fourth quarter. A safety, Justin Fields fumbles out of bounds in the end zone.
Oh yeah, that was Darnell Wright. Aiden Hutchinson came in untouched. Darnell Wright just got blasted by, bro.
Yeah.
And Hutchinson destroyed Fields on that play. Yeah.
Yeah, because to start that quarter, it was 23-14 Bears. And with 3 minutes left in the game, it was 26-21, 26-29, and then 31-26. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Hopefully we don't have a nightmare in Detroit again. But we got to put a bow on this because I'm starting to hurt too much to sit here.
I gotta get to
Hold
bed.
on one second.
Anything you want to get out there before you wrap up?
Shit. Fuck Green Bay.
All right.
Fuck yeah.
Let's go.
Every week, baby. Every week. Hey, guys, Bare Minimum might be up next week, tomorrow. If not, we'll all be back together on Monday. It's been a weird week with the
And
holidays.
I'll shoot you guys some live footage on tomorrow.
Thursday,
Sorry, man.
tomorrow. And
Tomorrow.
I'll get up Cashman pass them. And one more time for the people that were not here earlier, if you are in the area, December 16th, River Street Tavern, our first live event.
Dano, we expect you to be there, Dano.
Yeah, Dano, get out there, man. I'd love to meet you for the first time, bro.
Yeah,
We're giving away a lot of cool shit. A lot of cool shit. So
not you though, Dano.
Here's one. There's two. There's three. There's four. They're all autographed. They're all
it's his birthday, December 16th. What a pussy. No, I'm just kidding.
Is that what he said? Oh, perfect. Come on, man.
Happy birthday,
give you a
man.
birthday present.
It'll be a 4-star Chicago Sports live event / Dano's birthday event.
Amen, baby. Amen. If you come, Dano, I will have a special gift for you. I promise you that.
He's gonna, you know.
Hey, Bears lost. You know what, Dano? All we're watching is the development of Caleb Williams. And every time he does something good, we're going to ring the bell at River Street. If they lose, they lose. But we're going to hope he passes for another 340 and a few touchdowns and just have a good old time. And what I'm saying to everybody else is we'd love to put the faces to the people we're talking to in the chat. You guys make this show easy for us. You guys make it possible. If it wasn't for all you guys, it'd just be us talking to each other, a couple of bozos talking sports. Which is cool anyways. But, hey, guys, I want to wish everyone the happiest and safest of Thanksgivings tomorrow. Enjoy the time with your family.
Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Everybody.
Enjoy the time with your family.
Enjoy your weekends. I'm sure you have long weekends. Enjoy your Thursday through Sunday. Even if the Bears lose tomorrow, guys, if Caleb has a good game, fuck yeah, right?
That's all we care about, baby.
Number 18. It's Caleb. It's the countdown to Caleb's development now. That's what this is moving forward. Right. And by the time this season ends, you know what, Sean? I am okay with Thomas Brown developing Caleb Williams as the Bears lose for the remainder of the season until the last week.
The Bears. So you're saying we're going to lose out until the last week?
I want Caleb to be so developed by that point. He is the man that I'm going to say this, and I'm saying this honestly. He is the man that I believe that he will be, which is undefendable. I think Caleb will eventually be Patrick Mahomes. You just can't bet against him.
Not this year's Patrick Mahomes. The last couple of years, Patrick Mahomes.
Well, the 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards, like the guy you just can't defend. I think Caleb will be that guy, and I'm hoping that Brown gets that out of him by the time they play the Packers. And I said this before, guys, and I'm going to say it again. I hope it's the game that dictates if the Packers go to the playoffs. I really do.
Hope so too.
I hope the Bears, the one thing they have left in them is to just take that team from up north, as Sean would refer to, out of the playoffs. That would be so
amazing.
Awesome. Because all the fans, because we all have that one person in our close circle that's a Packers fan, and we just want to give it to him. You know what I mean?
And I'll tell you this, I'll go one step further. If he is developed far enough, I think that the Bears could win the last two, because there's not a lot with Seattle coming to Chicago that scares me about that particular matchup. or saying that's an unwinnable matchup for the Bears. I guess we'll have to see where the team is, injuries, so on and so forth. But
You
I
know what
think
though,
that
Sean? I hate having this approach because this is the typical Bears fans approach, but I'm going to do it anyways. I want the highest pick I can have. The only game I want the Bears to win for the remainder of this season is
Packers.
that last game against Green Bay. That's it. Lose the rest of them. I don't care. Lose tomorrow. Lose them all. Have a not only do you have
Caleb
eight,
looked good.
not only do you have 8 picks in the draft, Sean, make them like as high as you possibly can.
Yeah, I agree.
Make
I
make
agree.
make them make it so you're like the 11th pick in the draft. And so after your Panthers, what, third pick in the second round?
Maybe the second pick.
Your
I think
second
the
pick in the
Raiders
second
might
round, the
go.
Panthers, let's say after that, the Bears are picking their second rounder 8 picks later. You know what I mean? Something like that. I'd be with Sean. Could you imagine if the Bears had 3 picks in the top like 35?
I think
You're
that's
looking
very
at
possible.
you're looking at 3 potential
Blue chippers.
future playmakers on rookie deals for the next 4 years with Caleb Williams. Like you're looking at beasts. You know what I
And
mean?
guys, we will have another draft party at River Street this year. And as the draft gets closer this spring, we will definitely keep you guys in the loop. But we had a blast for the draft last
Oh,
year.
we're gonna be doing a lot of mock drafting on this channel on 4 Star Chicago Sports. We're gonna be doing a lot of mock drafting over the off season, guys.
Here, I'll tell you this, Brandon. We've done a lot of these Bears fundraisers at River Street Tavern. And if Kyle was here, I'm sure he would agree with me on this. When they drafted Caleb Williams, I don't know of any touchdown that's been scored during one of our draft parties. It was loud. It was like the Bears just won the Super Bowl. Like the place shook. When they
Yeah,
drafted him, it was like, "Ah!" I was like, oh my gosh, this is great.
yeah. It was
So,
it was it was kind of like how he walked out on stage.
yes, exactly.
Woo! Yeah,
Yeah, it
that's how it
was.
should be.
All right, boys and girls, we're getting out of here. Everyone, have a happy Thanksgiving until Monday. We'll see y'all. Be safe out there. Peace.
Enjoy,
Murder.
enjoy your turkey. Stay awake.